ICENET. Dynasties live here.
At the Nassau Coliseum on Monday night, the New York Islanders left the ice, triumphant in Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final, needing one more victory to capture the Stanley Cup. And that chance for the Islanders... Ford Motor Company in Canada, on behalf of your Ford and Mercury dealers from coast to coast. Another look at the New York Islanders' 4-goal first-period explosion in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final. That got it started, a shorthanded goal by Lorne Henning, and then the Islanders went to work on the power play. This, the first of 4 points, the first of 2 goals by Dennis Potvin, made it 2-0 Islanders. Now the Flyers are 2 men short, and Brian Trottier slides a puck past Phil Meir to make it 3-0. With the Flyers serving the second of 2 minor penalties, Mike Bossy, number 22, takes the puck, beats his man, goes to the middle of the ice, and goes short side with a shot on Phil Meir. It is 4-0 Islanders after 1 period. They win the game 6-2. Tonight, it is the Philadelphia Flyers, coached by Pat Quinn, versus the New York Islanders, coached by Al Arbour, with the Islanders leading the best-of-7 series 2-1. Stanley Cup Final, not as pretty as a day in spring, not the way the Philadelphia Flyers and New York Islanders have been playing it. Welcome to game number 4 of the Stanley Cup Final. I'm Dave Hodge, outside the Nassau County Coliseum, the home of the New York Islanders, who lead this series 2-1. Whether it continues to be a turbulent series is debatable. There have been close to 200 minutes in penalties called in the last 2 games, but the Flyers have suffered from those penalties. And as each game becomes more vital, penalties become much more important. We again welcome a complete North American audience to tonight's game via Hockey Night in Canada, the Hughes Television Network, and the USA Cable Network. And sharing the play-by-play duties will be Jim Robson from Hockey Night in Canada, Vancouver, and Dan Kelly, the voice of the St. Louis Blues. Until now, injuries have not been a factor in this series, but that becomes the case tonight. The Flyers will be without Paul Holmgren and Jim Watson. And with more on that and other keys to game number 4, here are our color commentators, Dick Irvin and Gary Dornhoff.
It is quiet here at the Nassau Coliseum before the 15,000 spectators and the hockey teams arrive. It will be much different once they drop the puck. Gary Dornhofer, the Flyers up against it here tonight a bit. What do they have to do?
Well, right to start with, they're going to have to need a solid goaltending performance, and I anticipate that Pete Peters will be back in the nets. The last game, it's probably the worst I've ever seen the Flyers play behind that blue line, and they don't have a mobile defense, so they're going to have to rely on quickness, and that means the defense getting the puck up to their forwards. It means the forwards coming back to help out. And number 3, it's those bad penalties they've been taking. They can't keep going in that penalty box with the hooking, the holding, and the interference, and expect the Islanders to say, well, we don't want to score this time. You've seen what the Islanders have done, 10 power play goals. That's something they're going to have to concentrate and work on.
Gary, what about Denny Potvin? If you're a Philadelphia Flyer, what do you do?
Well, Dennis Potvin, of course, is dynamic out there offensively. He showed what he can do in the other team's zone. He's been having a lot of trouble in his own zone. It's probably one of the worst defensemen behind his blue line. And I think the Flyers are going to have to stop him offensively and really do something against him in his own zone.
Okay, Gary, thank you very much. So now we return you to Dave Hodge and Howie Meeker.
Howie Meeker, the Philadelphia Flyers did not finish first and did not reach the Stanley Cup Final without winning some very big games. But this has to be the biggest that they played all season long. Can they reach back and draw on that experience for a big effort tonight?
Well, I would think you'd have to count on it, Dave. A lot of us thought, hey, when they got into the playoffs, their bubble would burst. But the good coaching over the year by Pat Quinn, the excellent goaltending, the super defensive work, and the hard work offensively by their club, I think they have every right. You can't expect them to come back and make it a heck of a game, and if they do that, they'll win.
Are they feeling pressure right now as they prepare?
No, not at all. This game is no different than the 20th game or the 35th game in the series that they put together. That undefeated streak, they'll prepare themselves exactly the same way, mentally and physically, as they did for any other game during the season. Come down here tonight, play their hardest. If they win, they win. If they lose, they lose.
They would have to be more prepared than they were in the first period of game number 3. I'm sure that is on their minds. We'll return with our Stanley Cup playoff coverage in just a moment.
Life.
Hello, hockey fans. Here's the Star Spangled Banner.
You see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, came through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
That was Joe Durr singing the Star Spangled Banner. Andy Van Helleman from Winnipeg, Manitoba. A couple of boys born in Toronto, Ron Finn, and another experienced NHL linesman, Leon Stickle. They're the men in the striped shirts tonight, and they're in the Philadelphia road uniform, orange with black and white. Rookie Pete Peters with that excellent goals against average in the playoffs. He's won 7 and lost 3 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And there's Billy Smith. He's won 13 and lost 3 with that goals against average in the playoffs. I'm Jim Robson with Dick Urban, Dan Kelly, Gary Dornhopper, among the fans in a very tension-filled Coliseum in Nassau on Long Island. As you see the opening face-off, the Islanders in the home uniforms white with blue and orange, and the Flyers in the road orange, black and white, and the puck is shot into Philadelphia territory. That's Bob Daly back for it. Quick pass intercepted. Potvin shoots. It went wide. Loose puck in front. Barber goes to the puck. Now he's moving in on Lorimer, number 4, and Potvin, number 5, as the shot went into the chest of Billy Smith. Steers it to Potvin. Around on the boards. Daly tying up along the boards with Lorimer, or Bourne it is, number 14. Bobby Bourne from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and what a great playoff this guy has had.
Jim, just to get the injury situation straight for the Flyers, Paul Holmgren is out, Jim Watson is missing, John Paddock and Norm Barnes have taken their place. Perhaps the biggest change for the Flyers. In goal, Pete Peters, for another big change, I should say, taking over from Phil Meir.
Dwayne Sutter has the puck. Number 19 with him is Brian Trottier. Barnes defending for the Flyers fell. A weak shot by Lorimer. A backhander went wide of the net. Battle for the puck as Leach tipped it to the corner. Battling for it on the boards. That's Bourne coming out with it. Last possession. Came around to Reg Leach, number 27 of the Flyers, who's out there now. Kelly hustles the forecheck Potvin and bumps him as the puck went across to Lorimer. He's bumped by Bobby Clark. The puck goes loose. 25 is Norm Barnes, back in the Flyers lineup. Had a great first half of the season. Has been injured quite a bit late in the season. Now an offside is called at the Islander blue line with 1:10 gone in a scoreless first period.
Well, after the game here on Saturday night, Gary, Pat Quinn, who was named Coach of the Year on the weekend, apparently really laced into his team. They had a closed-door meeting yesterday. Maybe somebody 2 blocks away could hear what he said. What kind of an effect might this have on a group of pro athletes?
Well, there's a couple of things that could happen. Number one, players could sulk, being talked to that way. Or they may say, look, he's not talking about me. I'm going to go out there and show him. But the Flyers, they have to win tonight. And let's hope that, for the Flyers' sake, that conversation by Quinn will help them.
Playing Islander territory as Langevin goes to the puck, puts it on the boards to John Tonelli, who's number 27. Rick McLeish is 19 of the Flyers forechecking as the puck slides out to center. That's DuPont to John Paddock, who's number 12, his first appearance of the final, replacing the injured Paul Holmgren. Although he's on a line with Rick McLeish. And on the left wing, number 15 is Al Hill. The voice you hear, move it, is referee Andy Van Hellemond telling them to play that puck while it's on the board. The shot by Nystrom is right on, and Pete Peters handles the puck and covers it up.
Well, good stop by Peters. Al Arbor's been ill. He missed the Stanley Cup luncheon yesterday, and when hockey people miss free meals, they are really sick. Also wasn't here for the skate this morning that his team had. He's had a touch of the flu, but he is answering the call here this evening.
Pete Peters, a rookie who had an outstanding season. He won 29 games, lost 5, and tied 5 in the regular season. And in the playoffs, he's 7-3. No score in the game. 2 minutes gone, first period. Puck bouncing outside the line. Stephen Pearson, number 7 of the Islanders, put it in, but Tonelli, there's John Tonelli. He was trapped offside.
Well, there's John Tonelli, number 27, native of Toronto. And Gary, they talk about controlling the boards. Two teams physically matched the way these teams are. He does a pretty good job.
Yes, he does. And, you know, he can see the light at the end of the tunnel. His very first shift out there, he really worked hard to try to get possession in the Flyers zone.
DuPont goes to the puck. Hit by Nystrom as the puck went around to the point. Tonelli put it behind the net. Peters tapped it aside to Busnick, who's number 28 on the Flyer defense. The pass at center picked up by Gorentz. To McLeish. Gorentz was at the front of the net, but Smith picked the puck aside. Gorentz hustles to the puck on the board. Try to get it to the corner. Blocked by Stephen Pearson, who lost the stick. Gorentz coming in on goal. Puck knocked away. Busnick goes to it, keeping it in. Behind the net for Rick McLeish. Knocked away from him. Hill goes in after it. It's loose back of the net. McLeish tried to center it. Stephen Pearson gets the puck for the Islanders. To Tonelli. Trying to get it out. Tied up on the boards by Busnick. Al Hill has the puck. Now it comes outside the line. Tonelli goes to it there. Trying to get it to Nystrom. It bounces away. Tight checking early in the game. A lot of tension here in the early stages. No score. 3 minutes gone. Teams changing on the fly. Kenny Morrow, a gold medal winner at the Lake Placid Olympics. Number 6 of the Islanders, clearing the puck to center ice. It's carried back in by Big Ben Wilson. The young defenseman in on goal to Bridgman. He shoots, and it's blocked by Langevin. Morrow to the puck. So is Sutter. Went behind the net to Bridgman. Linsman's loose in front. Oh, he just missed the pass. He was yelling for it, but he couldn't take it off his stick. Wayne Sutter puts it into Flyer territory. Jack McElhargy hustling to the puck. Got away from Big Clark Gillies. McElhargy banked it off the boards for the racing. Kenny Linsman couldn't pick it up. McElhargy with the puck again. Jumping it in. Smith stopping it. McElhargy was solidly hit by Sutter. The crowd reacting to that hit. Wilson hit Gillies from behind. There's a penalty in front because Bridgman was knocked down in front. There's Andy Van Hellemond. He's going to call his first penalty at 3:47 of this first period. From the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York, this is Stanley Cup 80.
Well, that's Sutter in the penalty box, but Bill Smith has drawn the penalty. The Islanders goaltender Gary called for slashing.
Well, Bill Smith has been noted to do that every once in a while. That time, Van Hellemond was right there and caught Smith, so the Flyers, not very successful in the last game in the power play, will have the first chance here tonight.
Billy Smith has had 224 penalty minutes in his NHL career in regular season play, so he's a goaltender who gets a lot of them. A player on the ice at the time has to serve the penalty. Sutter's doing that. Flyers on the power play. No score in the game. Bobby Clark with the puck. Daly to Barber. Shooting. Missed the net. Daly from the right point. Lets it go in front. It's deflected right on by Reg Leach. Smith saw it all the way. It shot into the crowd, and I hope it didn't put the spectator.
I think Daly leaned over the glass, Jim, and yelled, "Look out," to the spectators. Well, in this playoff year, Bobby Clark has passed the 100-point mark in his playoff career.
30 years of age and a well-traveled 30 in the hockey wars as you take a good look at the hard worker from Flin Flon. And there's Brian Trottier, who's from Val Marie, Saskatchewan. You won't find it on a lot of maps, but he's put it on the map, at least in Canada. The puck is kept in by Reggie Leach along the boards. Barber try to put it in front. Lorimer bumping with Hill. Hill gets the puck. hustling out of the corner. Barber from the left point, puts it in front. Smith stopped the screen shot. Hill from the corner. 1:18 left in the power play. Right in front for Leach. Bouncing puck steered to the side by Goring. Park and Goring hustle to the puck. Park with good work to the point to Barber. A shot right on, and Smith stops that. Lorimer gets it to the point, not out. Barber shoots. It's deflected wide as Hill was tripped up in front of the net. Puck is covered up on the boards, and the Islanders finally get a stoppage in play under a lot of pressure.
Well, you talk about a team reacting to us slaughtering the way the Flyers got their butts kicked the other night. Right now, they have certainly got good control of this hockey game, and it's just a matter of working. And they're moving that puck around. There you see a look at Dennis Potvin in his own zone with Leach looking on. Look at Smith coming out there to challenge. Quickness with that pad save.
There's 58 seconds left in the Islander penalty as you look at Potvin. Islanders winning, or rather Flyers winning the draw. McLeish is at the left point now. This is Lindsman with the puck. To McLeish at the right point, number 3, Wilson, as Lindsman now controls the puck. Now Wilson has it. There's his shot. Blocked. Trottier couldn't clear it out. Mel Bridgman has the puck. Going to the front is number 26, Prop. At the side is 14, Lindsman, and this is Ben Wilson. From the corner, Kenny Lindsman. Centering it neatly. McLeish centers it. It's blocked by Lorimer. Rick McLeish taps it on the boards. Intercepted. Lorimer clears it out. And the Islanders finally get the puck out. Philadelphia, on their power play in this series, have had 4 power play goals in 14 opportunities. 15 seconds left in this opportunity. Lindsman can really fly, carrying the puck. For McLeish, too far ahead. Potvin's attempt to clear hit Lauren Henning, but Potvin got a second chance. Broke his stick as the puck was cleared, and the play is stopped. There's Sutter looking at the clock with 3 seconds left in the penalty he's serving for goaltender Billy Smith.
You know, as we see, I'm sorry, Dick, looking at Kenny Lindsman there, you wonder how he will react tonight without Paul Holmgren on the wing. When Paul was out there, Lindsman would be a real agitator. He would go looking for trouble, and then if some guy would take offense to that, Paul Holmgren would always be there. Well, he's not there tonight. Will he play the same way? And he hasn't been much of a factor in 2 of the 3 games.
I think Lindsman's been hurt a bit here, Gary. He was favoring his right leg as he skated around, and you see him there in the bench area. Now the trainer moves over a bit to chat with him.
He collided with Potvin, and that's quite a solid body to run into. The penalty now over as Sutter is on the ice. This is Henning with Sutter. Henning shoots. The rebound sitting there, and there's going to be a penalty call because Sutter was all tied up trying to reach the rebound after Henning's shot. So now the Islanders will go on the power play. No score in the game. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Nassau Coliseum, Uniondale, New York.
You have to be part of a family to understand what it means.
Or a form thereof. Penalty to Tom Gorns for holding. Gary, I thought Gorns made just a super play here. He's penalized, but I think he saved the goal.
He certainly did. You know, you talk about a guy taking the man all the way to the net. Tom Gorns did that. Had he not taken Sutter there, he would have had the whole open net after Pete Peters lost sight of the rebound. First power play for the Islanders.
5:56 the time of the penalty to Gorns. The power play's been a big story in this series. The Islanders have had 10 power play goals in 19 opportunities in 3 games. Scored 5 power play goals in game 3 of the series. Stephen Pearson shoots it wide. Potvin at the right point keeps it onside. To Clark Gillies running into DuPont, who nails him in the corner, but Big Gillies gets the puck to Mike Bossy. Lost it. Being brought out by Lindsman, who's bounced back after being shaken up in the collision with Potvin. And a good bump by Lindsman back at Potvin. Now the Islander power play. Trottier has the puck. Number 9 with him is Gillies. Joined by Stephen Pearson, number 7 at the left point. Potvin, number 5, is at the right point. And Mike Bossy, number 22, is behind the net. The puck flipped to Peters, who held it to stop the play. Some high sticking going on in front of the net. Big Clark Gillies looks a little upset. Busnick there holding his stick. Ron Finn and Leon Stickle move in.
Gillies made contact with Bobby Clark. So we got some milling around. Gary, this has been a pretty good hockey game so far with the first 6 minutes and 34 seconds. Better maybe than the other 3 were if you want to look at the start of the hockey game. Why has the hockey been subpar, really, at this stage?
Dick, I think that all the penalties that have been called, all the bad penalties, you know, it certainly disrupted the flow that any team is trying to generate. And you talk to the different players on both teams, and they'll agree. It hasn't been a very exciting series because they haven't been able to get that rhythm going. A lot of interruptions. You know, you talk about face-offs. Each game, they've had between 85 and 95 penalties a game. That's a lot of face-offs.
Maybe they're tired because they're taking those hooking, holding, and tripping penalties.
We'll get into that, too, later on, Jim. That's a good point.
The 108th game of the season for these two clubs tonight. A long shot deflected off the goal post as the deflection by Clark Gillies went off the base of the post. Still no score in the game, nearing the 7-minute mark, first period. Puck is steered outside the line. 1:05 left in the Flyer penalty to Gorance. 14 Linsman and 16 Clark are the two penalty-killing forwards for Philadelphia. Now they're replaced on the fly. Gillies moving in with the puck. Takes the shot right on. Peters kicks it out. And young Peters stands up so well. Then he hit Pearson with his stick when he was in the crease behind him, and the crowd react to that. Islanders putting on pressure. Bossy shoots. Great stop. That Peters kid seeing the puck all the way. Make the stop. Busnick from back of the net with the puck. Lost it. Gillies centering it. Bossy scores. Mike Bossy, 1-0 Islanders.
Well, here we go again. That's 6 for 6 for the Islanders.
Tremendous work by Clark Gillies after the initial stop by Peters off Bossy. But Gillies did the work in behind, Gary.
Oh, look at that sensational save. That's the Clark Gillies, the aggressive forechecking that we're talking about. Here's a giveaway, and then Gillies, and good forechecking. Bossy doesn't waste any time. Peters not able to get his position, went right through his legs. Good shot by Bossy. He didn't waste any time, but the strong forechecking caused the turnover, and the Islanders were able to capitalize.
A sellout crowd of just under 15,000, including Miss Piggy, who's very happy at this occasion. Bossy's 9th goal of the playoffs. Gillies Trunchie is also given an assist at 7:23. Bossy seemed to misfire a bit on the shot as it sort of went off the end of his stick and went through Peters' legs. Instead of going a hard shot, it looked like Peters was going to be able to come across and get his right leg on it. Bossy hits that net so often. 1-0 Islanders lead on the power play goal. Jam up on the boards in New York territory. Al Hill comes out with the puck to Rick McLeish, to the point to Bob Daly. He shoots. Blocked in front. Morrow with the puck. On his left 11 is Merrick. 23 is Nystrom with the puck, moving in on Barnes. Centered, steered away by Daly. Tonelli and McLeish go after the puck. It's scooped outside the line. Gordy Lane with the puck. Slams it in around to the boards. Peters controls it back of the net like a good goaltender will. And the man who really started that controlling the puck from behind the net, Jacques Plante, is in the crowd as a Flyer assistant coach. This is Stanley Cup 80 from the Nassau Coliseum, Uniondale, New York.
It's for people like you, people who do what you want at Canadian Tire. Anything you want to.
For a great selection of gardening supplies at down-to-earth prices, come to Canadian Tire. You'll find the things you need in the spring to help you grow the garden you want in the summer.
It's for people like you, people who do Canadian Tire. Canadian Tire.
3 Stanley Cup rings. The 1947 one belongs to Howie Meeker. He bought it himself. Believe it or not, Howie paid $85 for it. The 1975 ring is Gary Dornhofer's, worth $6,000. He didn't buy it. The 1966 ring at the bottom of the picture belongs to Gilles Tremblay when he was a Montreal Canadian. He bought it at $250. And look at the difference in sizes.
We got a real deal on ours.
I say he did buy it. It's golf winnings.
He's thinking of selling it with all those diamonds in it. I bet he'll never sell it. And it was 6 years ago to this day that the Flyers won their first Stanley Cup, May 19th, 74. They trail this game 1-0. Trail the series 2-1 as Bobby Clark digs out the puck. Lost it to Mike Bossy. 14 ahead of him is Bourne with the puck. Bobby Bourne in on goal. went off his stick. He was bothered by Jack McElhargy in front, as Bourne just failed to score. Leach scoops it across for McElhargy. As Clark tripped up Bossy away from the play, and the crowd boos referee Andy Van Helleman. There's a chance for Barber, knocked away from him, back from the Islanders. Lorimer with the puck. Bossy's on his right, Bourne's on his left. They were going to the bench on a change. Ben Wilson starts back for Reg Leach, in on Potvin. Wilson shoots, Smith stops at the rebound. Where did it go? Reg Leach just failed to score and rattled behind the net. Loose puck in front, bounces to Potvin. To Clark Gillies, ahead of him 12 is Sutter, as they are called offside at the Flyer blue line.
Well, Reggie Leach had a chance right there off the edge of the Islanders' goal crease. And, Gary, you get a gunner like Reggie Leach. They call him Born Again Reggie down in Philadelphia this year. He has got to start producing on the road in this series because he was not a factor at all on Saturday.
Well, he's had a few chances. One thing about Reggie, he is only as effective as Bobby Clark is, because Clark, 3 out of every 4 passes go over to his side. So if Clark can get him the puck, then Reggie can be a factor in this series.
Nearing the midway mark, first period. Islanders lead 1-0. Puck comes to Mel Bridgman, forechecked by Gillies, taking him to the corner. Puck dug out by Busnick, the tall defenseman from Thunder Bay, Ontario. Now Bridgman to Linsman, moving in on Lane. Linsman, back pass in front, steered away by Smith. Bridgman battling with Morrow. From behind the net, Brian Propp tried to jam it, and Billy Smith covers up the puck. There it is, right by the goal post, right by the goal line, but it stayed out.
That scoring play was Mike Bossy, his 9th of the playoffs on a power play from Clark Gillies. And Brian Trottier also earned an assist on the play at 7:23. Trottier quietly sneaking up in the playoff scoring record of 27 points in 1 year, currently shared by Phil Esposito and Frank Mahovlich.
Well, one thing about having Bridgman, you notice he's playing the right side now in place of Holmgren. He can play the left side, the right side, center. Very valuable member of this hockey club. That's Mel Bridgman.
And Linsman is the center, taking this face-off right there on the spot. And the Flyers momentarily got possession on the draw, but Bourne steers the puck to Gillies. Turned around at the line. It's a delayed offside, but the Flyers, now it is called because the Flyers were retreating with the puck. As you look at Andre Dupont with the score, the Islanders won, the Flyers nothing. This is Stanley Cup 80.
Here, from Braun, in the domain of the rotary shaver, is the Braun Micron. Look, this is the shaving area of the rotary head. The Braun Micron foil is 30% thinner for a closer, cleaner shave. The thinner the foil, the closer Braun shaves. Our design is to shave you closer than the rotary. The Braun Micron.
.52 left in the first period. Bossy's goal, his 9th of the playoff, is his 3rd of the final. Islanders leading 2-1. Game 5 will be in Philadelphia Thursday night. Quite a collision. Nystrom and Dupont. Merrick to Nystrom. In front is Tonelli, but they don't get him the puck. Rick McLeish broke up the play. Now for Gorance. Fell as he ran into Langevin. Langevin bumped from behind by Hill. Busnick back after the puck. Merrick chasing him. He's interfered with by Dupont. Hill turning with the puck. Islanders lead 1-0. Bossy on a power play goal at 7:23 as the puck is cleared into New York territory. Pearson goes after. Philadelphia is making a change. Langevin steered the puck to Tonelli, who lost it. Now Hill shoots. Smith makes a good save on Hill after that giveaway. Merrick tied up by Daly, who moved in, but then he lost the puck to Langevin. Another Minnesota boy here in the NHL, but Langevin didn't get far that time. Checked in front of the net by Hill, who's doing an excellent job in his shift. Coming up with the puck. Now Daly from the point for Hill back of the net. Loose puck there as it went off the stick of Gorance. Langevin flipped it towards the line. Nystrom racing after it. So is Daly. It's loose in front. Tonelli. And a great save by Pete Peters on John Tonelli in the clear. It's still 1-0. Islanders. In goes Barber. Just failed to get through. Nystrom with the puck in the corner. Pass bounces off a glove outside the line. Daly put it off the boards. Tonelli picked it up. Trottier couldn't get by Barnes. Potvin will try and settle it down here a bit. He flipped it in off Trottier's stick. In goes Bossy. In front for Trache. Went off his leg as Daly tried to clear it. Bill Barber with the puck. To Reg Leach, joined by Clark as they come in over the line. Leach, slowed up by Potvin, who hauled him down. They both go to the ice. And the puck is underneath them. The play is stopped. Stanley Cup 80 will continue in a moment.
I'm into having some fun, you see. Good times for you, you and me. Let's break away for the good times. Good times feeling free. Breaking away to Canadian. Breaking away to the good times.
Gary, 1-0 Islanders, but really anybody's game the way the first period's being played.
Well, both teams are taking turns there, causing a lot of havoc in that defensive zone. And you notice that the Flyers more and more often now, their defense are really going in there deep to try to penetrate, and that's all right to do that as long as they take that winger coming out. You know, if they play the puck instead of the body, they could be in a lot of trouble.
There's the Islander crest on the puck, dropped by Ron Finn. As every home team in the NHL uses their own puck with their crest on it at home games, a special souvenir if they go into the crowd, of course. Potvin, the Lorimer, stolen by Barber. Kelly's going towards the front of the net, so's Clark, but the puck is brought out by Potvin. Nice pass, feathering onto the stick of Trache. Coming in with Bob Bourne, dropped to Potvin, his shot is blocked. Puck is cleared high. There is that souvenir to someone in the stands.
Now Ben Wilson and the Flyers hope to prolong this series. It could end in Philadelphia on Thursday, and there's some pretty good signs around the Coliseum tonight. And I noticed one of them, gentlemen, says next home game October 14th.
I'll guarantee you a Flyer fan didn't put that up there.
Well, the folks from Moose Jaw are here. Somebody from Moose Jaw. Clark Gillies' hometown. And there you see that side.
There's Clark Gillies, all 218 pounds of him. What an athlete, an outstanding baseball player. Played some professional baseball before concentrating entirely on hockey.
That's quite a matchup we have there tonight against Gillies and Bridgman. Both tough customers. And, you know, the hitting that's going on, that may not have an effect right now, but coming to that third period, it certainly will have.
Linsman and Goring are facing off as you look at their sticks. In a bad face-off, so they'll do it again.
Van Hellemond a little lenient in the early going, Gary, you think?
Dick, I thought both teams got away with a little bit there. There could have been a couple penalties called, and he let it go.
I think he's probably the most popular official among a lot of the players, though, because he often does let them go a little more than some of the others. Very highly regarded young referee, 32 years of age. Puck is centered back to Lane. In the circle, Sutter, his shot bounces off Wilson. Gillies with the puck to the point to Lane. Here's his shot, deflected weakly, a loose puck. It went into the pads of Peters. He knew it was around there somewhere. Fortunately for him, it was right there where he could cover it up.
Well, Peters been pretty sharp so far as he gets back into the nets after playing the first two games in Philadelphia.
Well, he's one of the best angle goaltenders that I've ever seen. He makes a difficult save or a hard save look very easy. Time and time again, he just takes the angle away from the shooter.
Now there's Phil Meir, who played in Game 3. And actually, Pat Quinn was criticized in some areas of the media for his choice of Meir. Now we've got Van Hellemond asking one of the arena police employees to order a guy out of the area of the glass who was there waving a flag over the glass into the face of some of the Philadelphia players. They dispatched him rather quickly.
Van Hellemond, in his 8th year as a National Hockey League referee. 7:03 left in the first period. It's 1-0 Islanders. Gillies got away with a trip back of the net. There's a battle for the puck back of the goal. Gillies centering it. Goring scores! Good scoring. I believe he'll get credit for the goal, as Goring is congratulated to make it 2-0 Islanders.
The sleeping giant has been awakened. Clark Gillies has just been dynamic out there. Every single shift he's been out. Watch this for forechecking and hitting. Just prior to that, Clark Gillies had made a super play. Gets it to Goring. Goring, even though he's off balance, slides it past Pete Peters, and it's suddenly 2-0.
And there's part of the
6:54 left in
14,000.
the period. Again, the Islanders off to a big scoring start. Back of the net look, right underneath Peters. Goring very quickly converting the pass out from Gillies.
Did that look like Sutter deflected that one?
Maybe, but
Islanders goal, his seventh of the playoffs for number 21, Butch Goring.
Goring gets the goal.
They're announcing it as Goring. Sutter did go to the front of the net, but it looked like it was going in before Sutter could touch it. But he certainly was a factor going to the front of the goal. 13:06, the time of the goal. Gillies and Sutter get assists. 2-0 Islanders. Smith controlling it back, and then Bridgman steals it, but it's knocked off his stick. Who's going to go take it? Finally, Morrow went to the puck, put it around into the corner. Lindsman hustling after it. Sutter trying to dig it out. Lindsman knocked it away. It's recovered by Sutter. Bounces off Park Gillies to center ice. Busnick to Bridgman, the captain of the Flyers, putting it in the Islander zone. Lindsman, Rat Morrow as the puck is stolen in the corner by Brian Propp. Behind the net now to Lindsman, trying to center it. Lindsman at the side of the goal. Battle back of the net. Lindsman from the corner. Try to put it in front. Sutter brings it to center. On his right is Tonelli. There's the puck for Tonelli. Hustling in after it. Peters steered it away. Barnes from the corner. 5:45 left in the first period. 1-0, or make it 2-0 now. Islanders. Busnick shoots. Smith handled it all the way. Propp shoots. And it's blocked by the sprawling Stefan Persson. As the crowd applauds that defensive play by Persson, the Swedish defenseman. This is Tonelli. Moving in on Daly and Barnes. Drop pass to Merritt. Bouncing puck. He couldn't shoot. He centered it. And right across in front. John Paddock moving in on Langevin. Nice move. Paddock shot deflects wide. Persson made another big play. Nystrom getting loose. Daly's cutting him off. Turned him around. Nystrom to Tonelli. Took it off his skate. Goes to the corner. To the point to Persson. It looks like that's offside. It is. The play stops. Live from the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York, the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Name's Bob Riley. Been a professional guide going on 30 years. Spent half my life fishing Old Horseshoe Lake. Fish bite here like no place else. So do the bugs. So I pack a pro, Deep Woods Off. 'Cause around here, black flies and mosquitoes got teeth like a chainsaw. But Deep Woods Off's tougher. It's 100% repellent. Take it from old Bob. Deep Woods Off works. It's made by pros, used by pros.
Happy faces in the Nassau Coliseum as the Islanders lead 2-0. That second New York goal. Butch Goring from Gillies and Sutter. Time was 13:06.
Players on the Islander roster not dressed are Jean Potvin, Steve Tambellini, and Anders Keller. As you look at Rick McLeish, who's been an outstanding playoff performer and was part of the Stanley Cup champions in Philadelphia on 2 occasions. In fact, scored the biggest goal in the history of the franchise when they beat Boston in the final in '74. McLeish got the 1-0 goal in that big game 6 years ago tonight. Battle for the puck on the boards. Poked loose by Daly. Swept out by Gorentz. Bob Kelly hustles after the puck, but Stefan Persson takes control. On the left to Langevin, who steers it ahead for Gary Howitt, number 8, on the ice for the first time, as is Lorne Henning, number 10. Henning, little action earlier as a penalty killer briefly. They're sort of out there with Nystrom making up a 4th line. Both teams using 11 forwards and 6 defensemen. Jack McIlhargey back to get the puck. 4:20 left in the first period. The score is 2-0 Islanders. Wilson coming out. Steers it to Gorentz to Wilson. On his left, McLeish and Kelly. And the puck went loose in the corner to Lorimer. Back pass to Potvin. On the left wing is Howard. He'll take the pass. On his right is Nystrom, but he couldn't get him the puck. Howard keeps digging for it. Try to get it to Nystrom. Bumping in there with Kelly and Barnes. Daly with the puck. For Tom Gorentz. To Bobby Clark. Now for Kelly. Nice pass to Barnes. Couldn't get a shot. Well checked. Islanders aggressively checking at every opportunity, and there's a play that's offside.
Noise level here tonight is really something. I thought the standing ovation exceeded what happened here on Saturday. Goring got that last goal. Good work by Gillies, Gary, as you said, but also a very quick release by Goring on the shot.
Well, there's Clark, Gillies, and Sutter. They were in there mucking, but that's That's something. It just goes to show you that it doesn't matter how hard it goes, it's location. And Butch Goring sitting on the bench for a little rest right now. Released it as soon as it hit his stick. Sutter, he was in the crease area just to make sure it went in.
Very difficult to tell whether or not it ticked off Sutter's stick on the way in. But in either case, it's 2-0 Islanders as Bill Barber's shot deflects wide. Park tried to center it. Shot by Leach from a sharp angle. Park right in front. Smith holding the post. There's going to be an Islander penalty. Leach fanned on his shot. Flyers have their goaltender out for an extra attacker. Delayed penalty coming up on New York. When they get possession, the penalty will be called. The Flyers keep possession. Now Bourne gets the puck, and here comes a New York penalty. Bossy will get it. This Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York.
Things go better when you and Coke get together.
Things like a summer job.
Everybody's looking.
Being high and dry.
Hey, I need that thirst.
After a good day.
Closing time.
Working off the thirst.
Coca-Cola has.
Mike Bossy of the Islanders drawing one of his infrequent penalties, his third of the playoffs. He's off for tripping at 16:50 in this first period as he dumps Bobby Clark in the area to the right of Billy Smith.
That was good pressure by the Flyers, and they would like to get one right here, so they go in that dressing room only 1 goal behind.
That's only the third minor penalty of the period, the second to the Islanders. The score is 2-0 New York, and their first goal came when they had the man advantage. Henning and Goring doing some excellent work as the Flyers get tangled up a bit at the line. Now Daly with the puck. The power play for the Flyers. Daly's number 2, Barber's number 7. They play the points. Up front, 14 Linsman, 26 Prop, and 10 Bridgman. And they'll have to go back to get organized as Barber goes back for the puck. Barber leads the Flyers in playoff scoring with 20 points, including 12 goals. Henning clears the puck to Morrow, who scoops it out. The Islander penalty killers, number 14 is Bourne, moving into forecheck. Number 10 is Henning, the defense 24 Lane, and 6 Morrow. Linsman with the puck. Lane intercepts, clears it out. Barber back for the puck. 2:10 left, first period. 2-0 Islanders lead as Bob Daly moves in over the New York line to set it up. Puts it in front, and it deflects off Bobby Clark. Clark from the corner, slashing with Lane, who had wrapped him with his stick. Clark really reacted when Lane gave him the stick near the corner. Ben Wilson now out on the power play. To Rick McLeish, rushing up the middle. Leach joining him at the line. Went in too soon. They're offside.
Earlier in the period, Gary, we saw a pretty good Philadelphia power play, but right here they are struggling again with Bossy in the box.
Well, here's the guy, you know, that the Flyers certainly depend upon, Rick McLeish. And I think it's been a situation where I think the heart has been taken out of Rick McLeish. All year he's been used very sparingly, always with different wingers. He's never had a line of his own throughout the season, and perhaps that has done something to his effectiveness. There's another guy that the Flyers depend upon, especially with the way he shoots that puck.
34 seconds left in Bossy's penalty. The score is 2-0 New York as the Flyers trying to get something organized with a man advantage, but having difficulty against excellent Islander penalty killing. Wilson with the puck, shooting it in. Leach racing after it. Billy Smith at the side of the net. Hands it to Leach. Failed to center it. Leach will come out with it around at the point, but it deflects down the ice. Wilson back for it. Only 7 seconds left in this power play opportunity. Clark to Leach. On his left is Hill. Bossy's back on. The deflection just wide as Reggie Leach just tipped it off the target. Now the Islanders will slide the puck down the ice, but no icing as it went to the goal.
Last minute of play in the period.
Last minute of the period. Bridgman moving in on Langevin. Shot went wide of the far corner. DuPont to the corner, his pass ticked behind the net. Bridgman tried to center it for Gorance. Played on the boards. DuPont battling with Nystrom. It's a standoff. Somebody has to dig out the puck, so Merrick does, and he takes a wrap from Mel Bridgman. Langevin goes to the puck, and he takes a bump back at the goal by Gorance. Barber keeping it in. Good aggressive forechecking by Philadelphia. Now Nystrom steered it out. Took a dive, and the crowd react, but no penalties called as he was spun around. Langevin with the puck, 12 seconds left in the period. Now to Tonelli. To Nystrom. Moving in on Dupont, it took him to the ice. Puck is centered by Merritt, stopped by Peters. 3 seconds left in the period. Pearson put it to the corner. The first period is over. Fossey on a power play. Goring 6 minutes later, cheering up the fans with those 2 big Islander goals.
Fans were a bit upset with Van Hellemond as the period came to an end. He drew quite a cheer when he was announced as the official at the start of the game. People no doubt remembering the controversial, but happily for the Islanders, controversial penalty that he called against Watson in overtime in Philadelphia in Game 1, and the power play goal by Potvin resulted. So the Flyers troop to their dressing room as they trail by 2. It's New York 2, Philadelphia nothing. The shots favored the Flyers in that period, 13-9. Here now is Dave Hodge.
Islanders clicking another power play goal to get it started, and that makes 7 in a row. They had won at the end of game number 2, 5 straight power play goals and 5 opportunities in game 3, and they score on their first chance in this period, and then it was 2-0 when Butch Goring scored his 7th playoff goal. The score at the end of the first period of play, the New York Islanders 2 and the Philadelphia Flyers 0.
That's our point of view. Come on and join us. We're counting on you. Breaking away for the good times.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. Hi. I was amazed.
Break away to Canadian.
That's what I was looking for.
Boston Canadian. Breaking away to Canadian. Breaking away to the good times.
We're saving $600.
We're saving.
This family has rented a Ryder truck
We're saving.
and moved
600
500 miles.
We're saving 600.
By packing and moving themselves, they saved a lot of money over what professional movers wanted. True, when you rent a Ryder truck, you have to do the work yourself.
We're saving 600.
But if you just keep repeating how much money you're saving, you'll be amazed how much lighter those cartons will seem.
We're saving $600.
When your rock is off its rocks, or you just lost your socks, stick with the pages. When you're going down to sea, when you can't find your key, stick with the pages. You can mend a broken heart, so it doesn't come apart. If your house has had enough, if you're building new stuff, stick with the pages. It sticks for ages, and the pages will stick with you.
They lead the series 2-1. They lead in this game 2-0 to the New York Islanders. But many playoff heroes for the Islanders, and to many observers, the most consistently good player in these playoffs for New York has been Bob Bourne, certainly a candidate for the Conn Smythe Trophy, and that or the Stanley Cup would represent a deserving end to a trying season for this player. 1 month into this season, there was born into the Bourne family Jeffrey, son Jeffrey, a spina bifida child, and Bob's season has been revolving around that in many respects, and I think it can be an inspiration to many parents. I'd like to begin with the tough times first, or perhaps we could call them the toughest times. How tough was it to concentrate on hockey with what was going on at home?
Well, of course, Dave, the first week, I didn't even come to practice, and I sure didn't want to play games. And then, it really was hard for me to come to the rink and try and play hockey, and I just didn't feel like it. It was a down period. The Islanders, all the management here was trying to pick me up, and the players were trying to pick me up, but it took a long time. And but as time went on, I felt a lot better about the situation, and right now I feel really good about it.
I'm interested to know how you would react to people, maybe fans here, maybe fans around the league, who just looked at the goal total and said, what is wrong with Bob Bourne? Did you feel like telling him, or did you feel like saying something else to them?
Well, I don't know, Dave. You know, like everybody in sports, we don't want to make excuses for ourselves, and I think I kind of had that feeling during the season. I didn't want to make excuses, but there were times, you know, especially the fans here in New York, they were getting down on everyone and getting down on myself, and I really wanted to say something at times, but what the heck, you know, you just got to let it ride, and I tried to. I knew it was going to take time, and you know, I just let it go at that, and I felt better.
I have to think that maybe the most important thing of all was your interaction with the teammates concerning your own situation. Was that easy or tough? Or?
It was kind of surprising, in fact, Dave. You know, when I first told them about it, apparently they had a meeting on the ice before I got here. I had a meeting with them, and they apparently they decided that the best thing for me was not to talk about it around me very much. But I think at the time I needed that, and I mean, I talked to 3 or 4 of my closer friends on the team, but I think I felt like I wanted everyone to talk about it. It would have made me feel a little better, but you know, they really didn't. You know, they felt bad about it, and I think that's the reason they didn't.
Now, do you draw strength from something like this eventually, because you are playing outstanding hockey and now, and there has to be a reason for that?
Well, I believe I'm a better man for it. I believe that you know, I can deal with things a lot better now, and you know, I realize that hockey. I mean, I used to think hockey was everything, and I realize now. I mean, I really love the game and everything, but I don't think it's the most important thing in my life anymore.
And let me say this, good luck. I hope you win the Stanley Cup, the Conn Smythe Trophy, whatever you wish.
Thank you.
But more important than that, good health to Jeff.
Thank you very much.
Bob Bourne of the New York Islanders, 10 playoff goals. He leads the team in that category and in other ways, too. Stanley Cup 80 continues in just a moment. As we think of Jeffrey Bourne, we note that hockey is not always played on ice, and there's another type of hockey very special to the National Hockey League. It is floor hockey, part of this feature on Special Olympics. These are the opening ceremonies of the 1979 International Special Olympics, held last year in Brockport, New York. Athletes from every province in Canada are here to compete against their counterparts from the rest of the world. These young people have trained long and hard to reach this goal. 3,500 athletes in all from 27 different countries. A capacity crowd, over 20,000 spectators, listen to the inspirational opening address of Eunice Shriver, president of the Special Olympics.
Every parent is called on to make sacrifices in the name of love. But the parents of Special Olympians have done more. They have challenged the spirit of the times that says that only intellectual accomplishment can make the measure of a human life.
Bobby Orr is on hand, representing the National Hockey League. Rayford Johnson, former Olympic champion and now head coach of the Special Olympics, leads the athletes in the Olympic oath.
Let me win. But if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. Good luck to all of you young athletes.
And finally, the torch, symbolic of the Olympic spirit, is lit, and the games are officially open. Floor hockey is one of the most popular activities at the games among players, fans, and volunteers, such as NHL referee Bruce Hood.
Take possession, all right? Okay. No, you can't do that. Okay? Now,
A dedicated individual, Bruce has been the honorary referee-in-chief of the Canadian Special Olympics for the past few years.
I think it's really great for them because it helps develop their character and they gain confidence. They'll come on the floor and they'll be like 5 feet tall, and they come out and they participate, and they're great team spirits there, and they go off, they're 8 feet tall, so it's got to make them better people at everything they do in life. I think it's super for them.
Okay, on your next whistle, I want 5 steps. Keep going, keep running.
These dedicated young athletes train hard, and the experience is a rewarding one for players and coaches alike.
Scotty, run.
I've been involved for a number of years, and it's a great feeling of satisfaction to see all these fellows develop. You know, you don't have to be a professional athlete to be involved. Anybody can get out there and participate and get that same beautiful feeling of satisfaction.
One of the tournament highlights is the All-Star Game, Canada versus the United States, featuring the top individuals from both countries. The game is sponsored by the NHL and officiated by veterans Bruce Hood and Leon Stickle.
You know, it's amazing. I think these people aren't any different to any other human beings. They need support in life. And for instance, the game I was doing this morning, one of the lads got hurt, and on the same play they scored. So he started crying, and right away his teammates came over to him and said, don't worry, we'll help you. Come on, get up and, you know, let's go at it and do your job. And he said, okay, and he wipes away the tears, and that type of sportsmanship and support, gosh, that's the type of thing that everybody needs through life, and they give it to each other, and I think it helps make them better people.
The Canadian side was victorious, and on hand for the award ceremony, Harry Red Foster, founder of the Canadian Special Olympics. An unforgettable experience for everybody involved, including former NHL player Brian Watson, who presented the trophy to the Canadian captain.
Right back upstairs to Gene Hart for the start of this second period.
Thank you, gentlemen. Billy Smith in the Islander net to our left. He set a playoff record with his 13th victory on Saturday night. Pete Peters, who is 7-3, to his far end of the rink. Billy Smith, one of the 4 original Islanders still on this club. Billy Smith, along with Lorne Henning, along with Gary Howitt. Eddie Westfall, an original, retired at the end of last year, of course, to become their color analyst. All right, the Flyers is Andy Van Hellemond, the referee, along with Leon Stickle and Ron Finn, dropped the puck. Daly out with Barnes, and up front they have Barber, Clark, and Leach. And for the Islanders, it's Bossian with Trottier and Bourne, and Dennis Potvin with Bob Lorimer. Puck in the Flyers' offensive right wing corner. Lorimer in there is grabbed by Billy Barber. The puck kicks behind the net away from Leach, and it's Dennis Potvin. He's got a man on the right wing, Bossy, one-on-one. Breaking for the net, Trottier is all by himself. Barnes with a marvelous diving play to break it up. Wonderful play by Norm Barnes as Trottier was alone in front of Peters on the good feet from Bossy, and Barnes with a marvelous play to keep it at 2-0 New York. The Islanders in their own end. Billy Barber chases Potvin, who reverses around, gets the screen from his goaltender, tries to get it up ice to Bourne. It'll go the length of the ice, carrying it from behind Peters to his left. Touched up by Philadelphia Norm Barnes, and it is an icing called against the New York Islanders. First period scoring again, Bossy from Gillies and Trottier at 7:23, and then Goring at 13:06 from Gillies. Flyers outshot New York 13-9. The Islanders had 2 of the game's 3 penalties in the opening period, as we'll be back from Philadelphia live at 8 o'clock on Thursday night with Game 5. All right, McLeish is on now with Paddock and Al Hill, and DuPont back with Busnick. And Trottier goes off now as the Islanders have the defensive pairing of Langevin and Pearson, and up front they have Merrick with Bobby Bourne double shifting and Bob Nystrom. Paddock at the top of the right wing offensive circle in the slot, hoping for a McLeish drawback. We're into the first 45 seconds of the second period, 2-0 New York. Along the far boards, back to the point, Busnick, a quick shot that's broken down by Bourne. Rolls to the Flyers' near side offensively, but in there is Nystrom, the screen off Hill, given away behind the net by the Islanders, but Langevin recovers, comes around behind to his own right wing corner to Nystrom. Nystrom again back to Langevin as the Islanders looking for the opening, and they have it up ice as here comes Nystrom at the Flyer line against DuPont. Through, and he's got Merrick breaking for the net. Nystrom in. Merrick was right there at the right side of Peters, and the puck skipped past him from Nystrom. Now McLeish back to Paddock at center ice, and all McLeish can do is tap it down behind the New York net, where Langevin quickly tries to go out and does to his own left wing corner for the Islanders. Tonelli, who will come up ice trying to headman Merrick. It rolls to DuPont and Hill gets it through to McLeish. To Paddock, right circle drive, score by John Paddock. His playoff first career goal, and it's 2-1.
A big shot by John Paddock, and he got all of it. As McLeish tried to maneuver around Langevin. Langevin took him out of the play at the blue line, but McLeish made sure the puck was loose. Paddock very quickly came up and just unloaded on Billy Smith that handcuffed him. Beat him high on the stick side, and the Flyers are back in this hockey game. John Paddock from Rick McLeish. Time of the goal, 1:45. Or 35, rather.
Big. Let's play. Look at Potvin take out McLeish. Nobody picked up Paddock, and he's at the top of the circle. A high-rising shot caught Smith by surprise. And suddenly, we have a new ball game. Whoa, did he ever fire it? Now, this is only the second playoff game that John Paddock has played, and he's going about making an impression right off the bat.
1:35, the time of the goal.
His first of the playoffs.
Gillies racing to the puck. Sutter's going in front. Oh, he's knocked down by McElhargy. And McElhargy is going to get an interference penalty, and Sutter really felt it as he tries to get up. From the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York, this is Stanley Cup 80.
The Star Wars saga continues. The heroes are back.
The possibility of successfully navigating an asteroid field is approximately 3,720 to 1.
Never tell me the odds.
Echo Station 5-7, we're on our way.
Fredo's gonna leave without giving you a goodbye kiss?
I just assumed he's a Wookiee.
I can arrange that. The new chapter of Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. Coming to your galaxy, Wednesday, May 21st.
One of the Islander fans
looking for the fountain of youth.
I wonder.
You know, here's a situation where Sutter was going for the net. He's taken out by McElhargy, and you know, Sutter knew he was going to take a beating. That separates the guys that want to win.
McElhargy off for interference at 1:48.
Jack taking a little drink at the penalty box, trying to cool off. 78 degrees outside Long Island today, and muggy, overcast. Denny Potvin with the puck. Islanders with a man advantage. They lead 2-1 in one of their 2 goals on the power play, which has been so effective in the series. They've scored 6 consecutive power play goals, 6 for 6 in a string. They now have 11 power play goals in 4 games. They can't get organized there. The puck went into the skates of Leon Stickle, the linesman. Stephen Pearson lost it to Bobby Clark. Clark doing some good forward checking on Pearson. Trache with the puck. Daly moves in to break it up. Now Trache, weak pass, recovers the puck. He's out there with Gillies, Bossy, Pearson, and Potvin on the power play. Trache with the puck. Play is called. High sticking indicated. Potvin and Bridgman have an exchange. The rival captains, they probably will both go to the penalty box. At least Potvin is going in.
Potvin is the only one going to get the penalty. It'll probably be a high sticking call. He had the stick up against Mel Bridgman. As Bridgman took him out, watch stick come up now.
Time of the penalty, 2:36. Potvin 2 for high sticking.
I know it does come
Two
up.
hasn't come up. There it is.
There it is.
Oh,
Oh.
I say it.
Thank goodness for those helmets.
2:36 the time. Comes with a minute 12 left in the Philadelphia penalty to McElhargy, so the teams play 5 aside, and then the Flyers, all things being equal, have a bit of a power play chance, 48 seconds worth. Al Arbor, as is the case with Pat Quinn, coaching in the finals for the first time. Al played on 3 Stanley Cup winners, Detroit in 54, Toronto in 62 and 64.
Mel Bridgman from Victoria, British Columbia, winning a face-off for the Philadelphia Flyers as Bob Daly has the puck. Too far ahead for Barber, who keeps after it with Langevin. They bump together back of the net. Stephen Pearson gets the puck. Right now the teams are 5 aside as Merrick moves in on Daly. Merrick is joined by Langevin. There's the drop pass, the shot. Daly blocked it. Another shot. Peters stopped that. And Bob Daly got the puck right there. And Peters is happy about that.
Well, I don't know, Jim. You're talking about being in the right place at the right time. How about Bob Daly? Flat in the ice, puck underneath him.
That's a perfect drop pass. You know, when you drop the puck to your teammate, you just set it there. You don't pass back so that he'll overskate it. Just stop it. Let the second man pick it up. It was well executed. The only thing is Big Bob Daly happened to get in the way.
Langevin got a good shot away there, too. He got it up off the ice pretty well, but that big Peters stopped the shot. He's wearing that mask with a special protector for the throat, which is a good idea that has recently come along for a lot of goaltenders. One area that was often left unprotected. Stephen Pearson trying to keep the puck on side. Bridgman outworks him for the puck. Right now, the teams are 5 aside. Now the play is called, and here's some pushing and shoving. Bridgman and Langevin have the gloves off. Langevin and Bridgman. Well, one helmet is off. Langevin's bigger, but I'm not going to say who's tougher.
Well, since everybody is standing up, we can just see it here and look at our monitor.
Better picture anyway, Gary. You get closer to it. Great to be so far away, hey, Gary. Feel a lot safer.
Well, good contact coming up here behind the net. This is the time when Billy Smith has to let his defenseman know that somebody's coming. And there's Bridgman. And from there, they look at each other, probably say a few words, and away they go.
Well, tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York.
For every beautiful lawn, there's a garage full of equipment. Something to mow it, to fertilize it, to clean up clippings, to rake up leaves. Introducing the Electro-Mulch from Canadian General Electric. It mulches as it mows, fertilizing your lawn with its own tiny clippings. No raking, no bagging, no cleanup. The work-saving Electro-Mulch. One machine for a beautiful, healthy lawn.
Look at Mel Bridgman and Jack McElhargy in the penalty box. McElhargy serving a minor for another 42 seconds, and there's Potvin and Langevin. The penalties to Bridgman and Langevin, majors for fighting at 3:06.
Only 3 minor penalties in the first period. And here in the first 3 minutes and 6 of the second period, we've had 2 minors and now 2 majors called.
Now Jack McElhargy still has the shakes there. You know, he's a real talker. You ought to hear him in the dressing room.
I tell you, his heart is as big as a house. Leon Stickle, the linesman, getting in position as we're ready to drop the puck. There's the score with 3:06 gone in the second period. The score is 2-1 in favor of the Islanders. Bossy and Goring for New York. John Paddock has scored for Philadelphia to get them back within a goal as in goes Rick McLeish. Now Lane with the puck. McLeish moves at him. Lane watched by Hill out in front. In the corner, number 6, waiting for a pass is Ken Morrow, but it goes the other way to Butch Goring. A guy from St. Boniface, Manitoba, who played 10 solid years with the Los Angeles Kings. Going into forecheck, Rick McLeish. McLeish starting a rush. He's got good talent and has an excellent wrist shot if he can get a chance to get it away. Flips it to DuPont. Shot deflects wide. Now the Flyers have the man advantage. Goring couldn't reach that puck when it was steered away, and he was impeded, and that's why the crowd reacted. Potvin's minor still in effect. So right now, Philadelphia have a man advantage, but they go offside. There's 31 seconds left in Potvin's penalty.
I was talking to Pat Quinn this morning, and you know, you plan your future with the young kids. Brian Propp was an excellent find for the Flyers, and during the workout session this morning, spent quite a bit of time talking to Propp, giving him that extra encouragement. Well, this is a tough situation for a young kid to come in and play in the Stanley Cup Finals. And
4:05 played in the second period. 2-1 Islanders lead. They're shorthanded as Morrow goes to the puck, puts it around on the board. Barber moves up, bumps with Henning. Flyers regain possession. Clark to Daly. Puts it in front, it hit a skate, and it's cleared down the ice. Now there's 14 seconds left in this power play as Peters leads the puck for Daly. And you heard his skates in the ice as he stopped back of the goal. Bobby Clark. So Brian Propp, he lets it go right on, and Smith made a good save. The puck was standing up. Now the penalty to Potvin is over. There you see him join the action. Instead, he's going right across to the bench as the Islanders make a full change. Propp with the puck. Leach is on his left. Joined by Clark. There's the pass to Clark. It deflects away. A breakaway for Mike Bossy. Bossy in on Peters. He missed the net. Peters stayed with him. And he shot wide. It's still 2-1. Could have been a very big goal.
That's hard to understand that Mike Bossy would try to shift, especially with the wrist shot that he has.
This is Stanley Cup 80 from the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York.
I think I'm going to leave this on. What do you think?
Joyce would kill you.
Every year I take it out before we go home. This year...
You keep rubbing it, you're going to wear it off.
Come on, give it time, eh? That's not so bad. No.
It's been the same deal for years. Clean up the cottage, share a little Molson Export, grow another beer.
Guys, just quit hassling me. Hand me a beer, will you? It's in the cabin.
Molson Export Ale. It keeps on tasting great.
Funny thing about that breakaway, the Islanders had a bad line change. They played for a while, Gary, one man short. Bossy finally hopped over the boards. He was behind the play because of the slow change, but in perfect position to get the breakaway.
Well, the Flyers, they were going to their bench, too. And, you know, you don't want to go off the ice until the puck is deep in the other team's zone. The Flyers fail to do this. It resulted in a breakaway.
Goring and Linsman on that face-off, battling for the puck. Sutter tried to center it. McElhargy intercepts. On the boards to John Paddock, who has scored the Flyer goal. His long pass out of the reach of Hill might be icing as Lorimer goes to the puck. Icing is called on Philadelphia.
Was it the other night, Gary, Bossy had 2 breakaways?
Right in, and he tried to shift both times. And here he is, wide open. And another thing, when he goes to his backhand there, tries for the shift. Now he's in there too close, tries for the shift, and it bounces right off his end of his stick and harmlessly goes into the corner. But I don't know, I've seen Bossy score so many goals when he gets in there 15 foot, he just lets them fly.
Well, reminder, Game 5, Thursday night in Philadelphia at 8 o'clock. If a 6th game is necessary to be played here at the Coliseum next Saturday afternoon, starting at 2.
Peters played that breakaway very well, didn't he, Gary?
Well, believe it or not, you talk to a lot of goalies, they would sooner have a player come in and try to deke them than shoot. There's always that chance for a miscue, as we saw in that last replay.
The centers were waved out, so Hill and Sutter faced off. Philadelphia get possession. They trail 2-1. Nearing the 6-minute mark of the period as the play is called offside. Bob Lorimer. I'd like to pass along at this time a special hello to all you hospital patients and shut-ins and those who can't get out to hockey games. Hope you're enjoying this game in the Stanley Cup Final. The minor officials working there at the penalty box are from the New York Rangers. There's the scoreboard. The Islanders lead 2-1. First period goals by Bossy and Goring. Paddock has scored for the Flyers. Butch Goring has the puck. And it went into the crowd.
Talk about the breakaways, Gary. I seem to recall an old-time coach, might have been Jack Adams, who would fine his players. I suppose in those days a $10 fine was a big one. If they didn't shoot on a breakaway, he insisted that they shoot the puck before they got to within 10 feet of the goaltender. He'd fine them.
Well, one thing, Dick, on a breakaway, you have about 5 areas to shoot it. Once you get in the deep, there's only 2 ways that you can go. You know, especially when you shift, then that leaves one way open.
Flyers having a little trouble getting out. Some good Islander forechecking as Paddock is tied up by Lane. Puck is cleared to the line and out, says linesman Ron Finn, and it was outside the line. Morrow brought it in offside.
Now there's a sign up here saying Ken has gold medal. Now the silver cup. Meaning, of course, that young man, Ken Morrow, who scored his only playoff goal to date in overtime against the Kings in Los Angeles.
The players on both teams are continuing to make those short shifts. We had a very humid day here in the island, and it certainly has affected the play out here. You can't stay out there for the customary 2 minutes anymore.
All the skaters dressed for these 2 teams have been on the ice with the exception of the backup goaltenders, Phil Meir and Chico Resch. Tonelli has the puck, moving in on Busnick. Now he swings in on DuPont. Took a check from Kelly. DuPont has the puck. Waiting for help, joined by Gorentz. And Gorentz went offside. They didn't quite time it right at the blue line.
Well, Kelly getting his usual spot duty. The hound dog, as they call him. He was out earlier, Gary, alongside Bill Barber and Bobby Clark. Made a pretty good play there to catch up and knock Tonelli off the puck.
Well, Bob comes to play. He knows that his career is coming to a close. He's been with the Flyers ever since he came up from junior hockey. And he's out there for one reason, is to get things moving, and he does it better than anyone else in the league.
6:13 played in the second period. Islanders 2, Flyers 1. Rick McLeish and Wayne Merrick facing off. DuPont slaps the puck in around on the boards. Morrow goes to it at the side of the net. To Tonelli, who's out there with Merrick and Nystrom. Broken up by Busnick. Looking for Gorentz, couldn't get the pass to him. Lane tying up Busnick. Kelly is also there, and so is Tonelli, and Ron Finn arrives to control things.
Well, a better, tougher, certainly closer hockey game here tonight than the surprising events of games 2 and 3 when one team got so far ahead and it became lopsided on the board.
Nystrom and Kelly lining up beside each other as John Tonelli, good hard worker in the Islander lineup, goes to the bench. Replaced by Gary Howitt, who's out on left wing now, getting one of his infrequent shifts. Lane back at the net. To Howitt. To Merrick. Tried to kick it to Nystrom. Intercepted by Bob Kelly. Ran into Morrow. Keeps digging. Lane behind the net. Gorance moves to him. Kept in by McLeish. Gorance put it in front. Lane cleared it to the corner. McLeish out of the corner. Pass intercepted by Sporty Lane. To Nystrom, but he's checked by DuPont. The puck is steered to center ice. Buznick for the Flyers. To McLeish. Then it's cleared in by Merrick. Islanders now completing a change. Flyers try and come out of their own zone. Gorance looking for Kelly on left wing. There's the pass. Bumped by Lorimer. Kelly keeps hustling in after the puck. Ran into Lane. McLeish bothering Bob Nystrom. Interception by Barnes, blocked. This is Merrick on a breakaway. Wayne Merrick in on Pete Peters. Peters stopped the shot. Peters standing up so well, facing these Islander breakaways. Bill Barber, his shot. Smith stopped that, and it was not an easy save. Anybody's hockey game. 2-1 Islanders lead. Norm Barnes back to get the puck. In the lineup replacing the injured Jimmy Watson. Bobby Clark, Barber's trailing. Play broken up at the line. It'll be called offside.
Well, you wonder if the Islanders, Gary, when this one's all over, might look back on the missed breakaways. 2 of them here in the last 2 or 3 minutes.
They're wondering what they have to do. The last time Bobsey went in, he tried to shift. This time Wayne Merrick, perfect spot, lets the shot go. Only trouble is he shot it right at Pete Peters. Either that or Pete had that angle blocked away. But in any event, they just can't put the puck in the net on the good chances that they're getting. That's 2 breakaways in this period.
Well played again by the young goaltender. 22-year-old Pete Peters. Potvin rink wide to Bossy. Ahead of him is Trottier. And on the left is Bourne going in on Daly. A drop pass to Trottier. In front, Bourne's weak shot. And Peters handled that one, stopping the play.
And Bridgman and Langevin now leave the penalty box after serving their major penalties for fighting. Quite a night for Pete Peters.
Well, one thing that the Flyers are certainly going to have to do, you know, that we've had 2 breakaways in this period, and right here, the Islanders had a 3-on-2 against the Flyers. You know, you have to tighten up. You keep giving a team opportunities like that, sooner or later, something is going to go in the net.
One of the cheerleaders in the stands here tonight.
He's got a heck of a tan, doesn't he? Orange.
Like his hairdo, blue.
Linsman and Goring on that face-off. Flyers get possession. Wilson has the puck to Bridgman. Kropp is 26 moving in with him. Linsman also out there on the line. But Bridgman was bumped off the puck by Potvin. Lorimer dumping it in. Ben Wilson to get the puck. Gillies goes in and bumps him. A good check, and the crowd react to a good, clean, solid body check by Clark Gillies. Wilson with the puck. Linsman on his right. There's the pass as Linsman raced in. Goes in against Potvin, and that's Billy Smith yelling at his defenseman, giving him instructions. Right on you, he said. Goring with the puck to Clark Gillies. Sutter racing ahead of him. Gillies will take it in. Back pass intercepted by Mel Bridgman. Back come the Flyers. Linsman trailing his prop. The pass, the shot. Smith makes the stop off Brian Klopp. Linsman shooting it in front. Smith stopped it. The rebound cleared. Buznick's shot hit a skate, went wide. Flyers trying to get the tying goal, putting on pressure. Linsman to DuPont. Checked at the line. The puck is kept in. Goring comes out with Sutter and Gillies at the end of the shift. Gillies' shot went off of Peters' hand to the corner. Heavy collision as DuPont rocked Sutter to the ice. Buznick, forecheck by Tonelli. Paddock clearing it out. Halfway through the second period. 2-1 Islanders lead. DuPont can't keep it onside. With the score, the Islanders 2, the Flyers 1. This is Stanley Cup 80.
Across the sea from Germany comes Ford Fiesta, a little Wunder car. Fiesta with front-wheel drive and steel-belted radials for superb, sure-footed traction. Rack and pinion steering for precise handling. Quick acceleration and a combined city highway fuel economy rating of 36.2 mpg. Fiesta, front-wheel drive, fuel efficient. Sold and serviced by Ford and Mercury dealers across Canada.
Now it's my pleasure to turn over the play-by-play to the popular voice of the St. Louis Blues, well-known to hockey fans everywhere, Dan Kelly.
Jim Robson, thank you very much. An excellent hockey game. Islanders lead 2-1. 10 minutes left in the second period, and here's Busnick with a long shot, and Smith a glove save. Persson cleared it to Nystrom. Held in by DuPont, shooting, and a stick save by Smith. Here's Paddock. High shot, Smith the save, and it's cleared away by Tonelli. Flyers with some aggressive forechecking. Nystrom tries to break loose. DuPont held it in. Here's Tonelli giving it to Persson, now to Langevin. To Tonelli. Flyers, Busnick. Lead pass to McLeish. And he's tied up by Nystrom. DuPont held it in. Hill behind the net, trying to center. Busnick shoots, glove save by Billy Smith, and he held on to it to give Tonelli a chance to get a new stick. He had broken his stick.
When the game began, we talked about the big tongue lashing that Pat Quinn gave the Flyers yesterday. Well, Gary, as they've now passed the halfway mark of regulation time, I think it had an effect.
Well, good forechecking. Tonelli without a stick, got out of the way. Billy Smith came up with a save, but that's what the Flyers have to do. You know, when you're seventh, only seventh from the top in goals against, that means the Flyers have a team that will be scored against. So they have to put a lot of pressure and spend a lot of time in the other team's zone. They've been doing that tonight. It's been good, solid forechecking. They've been getting some chances. In this second period here, Billy Smith has been very effective.
Bossy and Goring have scored for the Islanders. Paddock has scored for Philadelphia. A little delay as we had a problem, I believe, in behind the Islander goal. Now we're ready to go. Clark against Trottier, the two best face-off men in this series for either team. Daly flipped it around on the boards. Here's Lorimer for the Islanders. Clears to Bossy, who shot at the center. Daly has it there. Tried to clear it in. Bossy knocked it down. Barber steals it, but Leach was in ahead of the play, offside.
Well, Bill Barber's been held in check, certainly by the Islanders, a lot better than he was by the North Stars in the semi-final series. And again, Gary, you still look to the likes of Barber and Leach. They've got to start putting them up on the board, perhaps.
Well, Leach. Barber, Leach, Clark, guys that have been there before. You know, they're both members of that Stanley Cup, two Stanley Cup teams. They know what it takes to win. They know the pressure involved, and they have to supply the leadership for this hockey club, especially for those young kids.
That's Gary Dornhofer, Dick Irvin, Dan Kelly, and Jim Robson up in the broadcast booth. 2-1 Islanders. Puck in behind the Islander goal. Into the corner goes Bourne. Bourne tied up by Clark. Leach in to help out, but here's Potvin to Bossy. Cleared it, and Trottier feeds Bourne. Bourne in against Daly, shooting at an arm save by Peters. Lost his balance. Bourne can't get it in front. Here's Potvin back to Bourne. Bourne centered one, and Barber tipped it to center. Lorimer for the Islanders to Potvin. Now it's back in for Lorimer, number 4, to Bossy. Clark steals it, but handed it right to Bourne. And Bourne cleared it back to center. Trottier in against Barnes. Trottier with Bossy in front of the net, so was Bourne, but it's cleared away by Daly. Bourne lost it, and Richmond speeds away. Lane tying him up, and Ward Lane comes up with the puck. Lead pass into Bossy, but Trottier was still trapped in the zone, offside. Stanley Cup 80 will continue in just a moment.
Over 50 kinds of lawn weeds have lost their lives in the ongoing war between weeds and Killex, Canada's leading lawn weed killer. We do not ask you to remember these weeds. Just don't forget easy-to-apply Killex from Green Cross. Killex. Lawns love it. Weeds die for it.
One of the signs here at the Nassau Coliseum, 7:56 left in the second period. New York Islanders 2, Flyers 1. It is Linsman, Prop, and Bridgman out on right wing for the Flyers, and now Bridgman takes the faceoff as Linsman is tossed out. Gillies will take it in place of Goring. It is Goring, Gillies, and Sutter on the Islander forward line. Here's McElhargy to Prop. Gillies tied him up. Dropped it into his own zone. Morrow and Linsman race back after it. There's Linsman tying Morrow up. Bridgman comes in. Linsman centered it, but Lane cleared it away. Here's Gillies to Sutter. Sutter on right wing, drops it to Gillies, and it was behind him. Here's Bridgman, head manning to Linsman. Drop pass to Prop. Brian Prop is checked by Gillies from behind, and here's Morrow for the Islanders. To Sutter. Sutter, slap shot, and a glove save by Peters on a shot that probably was going to be wide.
Gary, you ended off the top about Ken Linsman without Paul Holmgren playing on the right wing. I think this is the best game he's played in the series.
Well, he's skating out there, and he has to skate. That's when he is effective for the Flyers. You notice how when he carries the puck, the defenseman will always give up that zone. If they try to charge out at him and try to take him, he does that little step to the side, and away he goes. So Kenny Linsman has to have his speed going and get control of that zone. You know, we've talked about the killer instinct of the Islanders. Do they have it? They had a chance of taking Boston out here at home, failed to do so. Same with Buffalo Sabres, they failed to do so. Now they have a chance against the Flyers to do it here at home to get that commanding 3-1 lead. Will they be able to do it?
Well, they've missed a couple of breakaways, one by Bossy, one by Merrick, and it remains 2-1. Here's McLeish on right wing for Gorentz. Tom Gorentz into the corner. Langevin bumped in. McLeish bumped by Langevin. Got it to Gorentz, and a backhander is blocked by Stefan Persson, number 7, down on the ice with a big block of a shot.
Well, number 7, Stefan Persson, not as highly publicized as some other Swedish players have been in the National Hockey League, but has been an effective Islander, much improved. Here's that hit in the corner, Gary.
You know, you talk about body contact and taking the man out. That's a good takeout right there. That's what Al Arbor wants to do. Eliminate the man from the play, take him right out of the play. Gorentz, he bounced off the check and came right back in front of the net.
6:57 left in the second period. McLeish and Merrick ready for a face-off. There's Langevin, a young Islander defenseman from St. Paul, Minnesota, who made that last hit in the corner. McLeish gets the draw. Gets it in front. Here's a chance, and it's blocked by Langevin. He clears to Merrick. Merrick in against Busnick, and Busnick knocked it off the stick. Merrick into Porchek. Nystrom comes in to help out. Bob Nystrom to Merrick. Band on it. Tonelli a shot, and Peters robs Tonelli, who lets go a backhander.
Good goaltending tonight. Peters again, that time on the screen backhand.
Well, good corner work for Bob Nystrom. He out-muscles Rick McLeish. You notice how McLeish swaying away from Bob Nystrom. You know, he should have stopped right there and taken Nystrom. Instead, he elected to go for the big skate, and that allowed Nystrom to set up Tonelli in front of the net. And, you know, plays like that, that's what makes coaches great. It would have been so easy just to stop right there and take Nystrom out of the play.
Islanders have Henning now at center, Tonelli on left wing, Nystrom on right wing.
All right, let's watch it again with Nystrom. Watch McLeish swing right away from him. He's eliminated from the play. Nystrom, the perfect feed. Now, it would have been so easy for Ricky just to take Nystrom and pin him.
Stop. Don't go for the skate.
Absolutely.
Here's Bridgman against Henning. Back of the net, DuPont for Philadelphia. Here's the Moose, DuPont. Leading a 4-man rush. And Persson is there to clear it out on the right wing boards to Nystrom. Lost it to Bridgman. Bridgman couldn't get a shot, but we're going to have a penalty here to Langevin of the Islanders for pulling down Bridgman. Live from the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York, the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Well, we finished most of Charlie's season.
Hey, come on over to our place. Dad's got a few beer on ice.
Sounds great.
For years, the folks around these parts have given a guy a hand and shared a little Molson Export Ale.
Well, I called the girls to come over for supper.
Terrific. That means we leave the tractors here for the...
How's that leg, Charlie?
Oh, it's getting along.
Say, I sure do owe you guys a vote of thanks.
Hey, what are friends for, eh, Charlie?
Molson Export Ale. It keeps on tasting great.
Well, after a flurry of penalties early in the second period, they've gone over 10 minutes without one, but now Langevin off for holding. Gary, the Flyers' power play, one of these times they have to start connecting.
Now, this is their 9th power play opportunity in the last couple of games, and they still haven't been able to score. So let's see what happens here.
They're trailing in the game 2-1, and the Islanders clear one down the ice. Bill Barber, who is on the point with Daly. They have Clark, Hill, and Leach up front, and here's Clark. Lorimer tying him up, poked it outside the line. Now Daly and Barber, the point men, in control. Forechecking is Hennig. Here's Barber to Daly. Daly to Hill. Hill right around. Lorimer shoots. Flies across. Leach a poke at it. And somehow Billy Smith was able to grab it and hold on.
So he flips the puck up into the net, and it's a goal. Tried to slide it on the ice. Billy Smith, sensational.
A good pass to Al Hill. What a good move he makes on Lorimer, and a good shift. He's got Smith deep, but he can't get it up. And perhaps Lorimer may have recovered just enough to harass Al Hill. Let's watch Lorimer come back. Now he doesn't ever get a chance to make contact. Look at that puck sliding across the goal crease. Good camera work. And Smith covers up. Well, both teams have had the opportunity to increase their goal total, but they just can't get that puck across the line. Exceptional goaltending.
Flyers 4 power play goals in this series versus 11 for the Islanders. That's been a big difference. They have the man advantage right now. Minute 23 left in Langevin's penalty. Comes to Barber. Fired it around on the boards. In comes Daly. Back of the net, now centered, and Trache is there to clear it away. Bobby Clark for Philadelphia. To Barber. A minute left in the penalty. Barber. Check, gets it back again, puts it in front, and Smith grabbed it. Now back to Leach. Leach to Hill. Broken up by Lorimer. Leach shoots one. Wide by a couple of feet. Daly to Clark. And Bourne is there with a big play and breaks away from Daly. Bourne on a breakaway. Big save by Peters, or it hit the side of the net, either one. 3 breakaways now in a row for the Islanders. Here's Barber, a wrist shot wide. Leach back of the net to Prop. Stopped it from the fence. Then Wilson shoots at the goal post. Wilson hit the post. And then Hennig cleared it up over the glass.
Well, finally, they're turning it on the way they're supposed to turn it on in a Stanley Cup final.
Well, we're getting a real treat tonight. There's the disgusted look of Bobby Clark. He can't believe it. Just shaking his head in disbelief. But Bobby Bourne had the breakaway, and here comes the goal post by the Flyer. I don't know if Smith got a piece of it. Again, Bobby Bourne, look at his feet, all alone. I believe he hits the goal post on this one. Maybe he came in a little bit too close. It looked like, yeah, there's the post. But the puck went up on its edge just as Bourne shot it, and that may have saved the goal. Boy, what opportunities. Whew.
Peters got a piece of it with his hand.
I think so, right hand.
Then off the post, but close calls at either end. 26 seconds, or pardon me, 16 seconds left in the penalty to Langevin. 4:31 left in the second period. Islanders leading 2-1. Mel Richmond, Kropp and Linsman on the forward line. Richmond got the draw from Goring. Now Bridgman and Lane jam up in the corner and hold it there. There's Bridgman. Flipped one in front, cleared away by Morrow. Held in. Now the penalized player, Langevin, back on. Linsman in the corner. To Bridgman. Kicks it back to Linsman. Centering one. And Langevin, who has served the penalty, has it for the Islanders. He dumped it in. That's Ben Wilson. To Linsman, to Prop, back to Linsman. Linsman tried to go through the defense. Morrow cleared it, but not out. Gets it again. And Clark Gillies comes to center. Gillies shifting around. He's upended, and there'll be a penalty here to Philadelphia. And the Islanders will get a power play opportunity as DuPont will go off. This Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York.
You know your family's getting good nutrition when you buy good, wholesome foods, like fresh Canada Grade A eggs, fresh lettuce, pure creamery butter, processed cheese made with good Canadian cheddar, lean 100% pure ground Canadian beef, prime potatoes, a whole variety of good, wholesome, nutritious foods, and nothing else. That's exactly what McDonald's buys for your family, too. Nothing but goodness, nothing but good taste.
Coming up in the second intermission, you'll meet Mastered and Trophy winner Al McAdam of the Minnesota North Stars. Wayne Gretzky of the Edmonton Oilers will analyze the center ice play in this series, and Howie Meeker will give us highlights of quite a second period.
Well, Moose DuPont's in the penalty box for tripping at 16-19. What a move Gillies put on him. I guess, Gary, the only way he could stop him was to trip him.
Oh, he just froze DuPont and was around him. That's all DuPont could do. But Gillies, he's had probably the best game of the Stanley Cup playoffs for him tonight.
Here's that Islander power play. 1 goal on the power play tonight for New York in this 2-1 lead. They had 5 the other night. There's a chance by Bossy, and Peters makes the stop. Daly cleared it away for Philadelphia. Islanders with Potvin and Pearson, the point men. Trottier, Gillies, and Bossy up front. According to Pat Quinn, this is the best power play personnel of any team in the league. The Islanders. Bossy fires it in. Gillies is there. Tied up by Clark. Held in by Potvin. Trottier comes in. Barnes checked him. Now Bossy. To Potvin. Shoots one. Daly blocked that. Pearson to Bossy. To Potvin. To Gillies. Rolls it in front, and it's cleared by Daly. Clark Gillies. To Trottier. To Potvin. And off the stick of Clark. And up over the glass.
You look at the Islander power play, what makes them so effective is the guys that they put out there, they can all handle the puck so well. So as soon as the Flyers try to check them closely or move at them, right away it's a quick pass to an open man, and they keep rotating. They don't stand in one position standing still. They keep moving around, finding that open man, and eventually the key guy is Potvin with that wrist shot.
Now it's going to be Bourne on the right side, Bossy on the left, Trottier at center. Pearson and Potvin the point men. Islanders power play alignment. Bridgman and Barber the penalty killers, with Daly and Barnes on defense. 1:06 left in DuPont's penalty. 2:47 left in the second period. And Barnes cleared it up over the glass. I mentioned earlier, Pat Quinn said, I don't care what the statistics show, the Islanders have the best power play personnel, man for man, in the league.
Well, there's the anchor man up front anyway, Brian Trottier. We mentioned he's sneaking up on the NHL playoff point record, 25, too short.
Here's Bridgman on a face-off. It goes to Bossy. Bossy lost it to Barber. Bourne tied him up. Now Barber. Dangerous man in a shorthanded situation, and a skate save by Smith. Bounces out in front. Here's Barber again. Couldn't get it. And Pearson for the Islanders. To Bourne. Bourne to the corner. Holds on to the puck. Back to Pearson. McLeish breaks out of there. Rick McLeish being chased by Potvin. And Potvin got back to cover up and block the shot. But a penalty coming up on the play here. And it's going to be hooking against the Islanders.
I think it's Persson who was trying to hang on to McLeish on the play. Boy, this is good action, Gary.
This is by far the best game of the series. Both teams are doing so many things so well. There's the interception at the blue line, and McLeish breaks away, hooked from behind by Persson. And he will go to the penalty box. And in 24 seconds, the Flyers will have a man advantage.
So Persson gave the little hook. That allowed Potvin to get back and break the play up. Well, Persson gets the penalty.
That's what you call a good penalty right there, Dan. McLeish would have been home free. Pat Quinn looking on and knowing his team has to get some goals against Billy Smith. Pete Peters down the other net. And boy, has he come up with some big saves. As he did in the first two games. He's been a very steady performer.
Billy Smith, 13 playoff wins to his credit. Each team will be a man short. When DuPont comes on in 24 seconds, then the Flyers will have the man advantage. Here's Bridgman to McLeish. And Henning checked in. Henning with Goring to center ice. Henning trying to slip it over to Goring, but McLeish intercepts to Bridgman. Bridgman trying to get it to Ben Wilson. Wilson circling back, drops it to Bridgman. DuPont getting ready to come back on. Here's Busnick as DuPont is on. Flyers on the power play. A minute and a half left in Persson's penalty. Morrow. For Henning. Henning jammed up by Bridgman, and Henning fell on top of the puck, and the faceoff will be in the Islander zone with a minute 21 left in the penalty to Persson.
Dan, you mentioned the 13 wins by Billy Smith. That is a Stanley Cup record. Ken Dryden previously held the mark, 12 on 2 occasions.
You know, another reason that the Islanders are so effective killing penalties is the guys they send out there, a Goring, a Trottier, a Bourne, a Henning. They all have that speed, and they can gamble a little more because they have the speed that when they're caught to get back into the play.
Flyers with 4 power play goals in this series, 14 in the playoffs. Here's Morrow shooting it around on the boards. Barber unable to hold it in. And the Flyers have to retreat. That's Daly. Barber. At center. Leach gets it into the zone. Lane is there, lost it to Leach. Henning knocked it away from him. Morrow trying to clear it. Lane back of the net.
Last minute to play.
Less than a minute to play in the period as the Islanders clear up the center. 50 seconds left in Persson's penalty. Barber to Leach. He's checked, and Daly has it for Philadelphia. Now Leach being checked by Lane. Daly. At center ice to Hill, who circles all the way back, and Henning tied him up. To Daly. Trying to get it to Hill. Bourne almost broke away. Flyers get it in, but it's offside. With 28 seconds left in the period and 23 seconds left in the penalty to Persson.
Well, Al Hill probably had the best chance of all to tie this game for the Flyers, but what a checking job, especially on the shorthanded situation that the Islanders are doing. As soon as the Flyer picks up the puck, right away an Islander is right beside him. And they got guys out there that have that feel and that concentration to do the job. Bobby Clark not even sitting down to take a rest. Up there standing up.
Here's Barnes dumping it in for Philadelphia. Lorimer back to get it. And he cleared it up over the glass. And the faceoff with 20 seconds left will be in the Islander zone. 15 seconds now left in the penalty to Persson.
Dan, can you hear Billy Smith directing traffic? When that puck is shot in the corner or wherever it is, he's yelling at his players to let him know exactly where it's where the puck is going and who's on top of him if somebody is checking very closely.
Isn't that almost mandatory for goaltenders? I mean, as a player up front, wouldn't you want that?
Oh, absolutely. It's very helpful. You know, if you have time, then he doesn't have to say anything. But if somebody's right behind you, it's good to know, and then you have to decide what you're going to do with that puck.
Here's Linsman against Trache. Big face-off with 20 seconds left in the period to the right of the Islander goal. Linsman and Trache tossed out of there, so McLeish and Goring will take it. Arbor has the second center out Goring, just in case of a situation like that. And Goring gets the draw. Here's Lorimer. Clears to Goring, who got it to center ice. Ben Wilson trying to set up Prop. Hotback cleared it back to center. Trache has it now. Lynchman as Pearson is back on. 3 seconds left in the period. Loose puck at center, and the second period comes to an end. And it is still anybody's hockey game. And so the score at the end of the second period, the New York Islanders 2, the Philadelphia Flyers 1.
All of these oils are good oils. All of them meet or exceed SE standards. We think our oil is better. Here's why. In an industry standard test, ours was the only one of these oils that had no permanent viscosity breakdown, no permanent thinning out at all. Our oil, New Castrol GTX 10W30. In the final analysis, it doesn't break down.
Hello, I'm Serge Savard. I'm going to give the worst of these junk cars a showroom finish using no wax with this amazing new product, Star Bright. In 30 minutes, under scorching sun and without muscle, I'll give this car a dazzling shine that will last up to a year. Star Bright, it's like getting a new paint job. And imagine how it shines a new car.
Star Bright, a family of cosmetics for your car.
Look, 'tis a lucky shamrock, like the one you see in my manly Irish Spring soap. It has the fine, fresh fragrance of a spring day in Ireland. And the unique double deodorant system in these green and white stripes. 2 deodorants to help keep a man feeling clean and fresh.
Manly, yes. But I like it too.
You can't beat the luck of the Irish.
Try your luck in the Irish Spring Contest. Win one of 5 trips for 2 to Las Vegas.
At Speedy, you're a somebody. We fix your muffler expertly. Guaranteed to take you far as long as you will own your car. At Speedy, you're a somebody. Our estimates we guarantee. We will show you what is wrong. So join us, all you somebodies, and sing the Speedy Muffler song. Mufflers, tailpipes, we do shock absorbers too. Low, low prices, we go all the way for you. Speedy Muffler, at Speedy, you're a somebody. At Speedy, you're a somebody. At Speedy, you're a somebody. At somebody, at Speedy.
From the Nassau County Coliseum on Long Island, this is game number 4 of the Stanley Cup Final. And it's a pleasure to welcome and to congratulate the winner of the Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy, Al McAdam of the Minnesota North Stars. Congratulations also for a tremendous season, which will be remembered by you and fans for a game-winning goal in Game 7 in the Montreal Forum. But as for the Masterton Trophy, it rewards perseverance, sportsmanship, dedication to hockey, and I haven't heard anybody that says that doesn't spell Al McAdam. What does it mean to you to win this?
I'm very pleased at getting the award. First of all, because it's a Minnesota trophy, and it's the first time that anybody in Minnesota has won the trophy. And I've met and have been with Carol Masterton the last couple of days, and I've heard a lot about her late husband, and because of the reasons that and the dedication that he has put into the game, it gives me that much more pleasure to win it.
It might be said to lighten things up a bit that anybody who has played for now non-existent teams such as the California Seals and the Cleveland Barons and is a big star in the NHL today has to be dedicated to hockey. Do you look back and compare these days to the days that couldn't have been nearly as good as the current ones?
Well, I think they were character builders, and I think I've passed the test a bit, and it makes me more hungry for the cup, and that is my next goal.
Alan, watching the Philadelphia Flyers in this final, we can also remember that your name is on that Stanley Cup. You played 1 playoff game for the Philadelphia Flyers, and not too many more in the regular season, but there you are. You've had a piece of the Stanley Cup, and I know you want a larger piece with Minnesota. Any memories of your days as a Flyer?
Well, I was more or less on the outside, although I didn't have the confidence that I have now. And although they tried to make me feel part of the team, I really didn't play with the confidence until I did get traded to Oakland. And so being part of the team that won the Stanley Cup was good, and it gave me a good feeling, but I want to be participate more in the team that wins the Stanley Cup, and maybe we'll do that next year.
You participated greatly in the success that Minnesota had. Congratulations again, Al. Al McAdam, the winner of the 1980 Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy. Coming up next, Wayne Gretzky of the Edmonton Oilers, who is going to win a lot of trophies in his National Hockey League career. Stanley Cup 80 continues in just a moment.
If your lawn's a jungle, your string trimmer better be a home light. Gas-powered to outwork, outreach, and outmaneuver any electric. To cut a wider swath and advance cutting string automatically at a trigger's touch. The Home Light gasoline string trimmer, and only 7 1/4 pounds. King of the jungle. So advanced, it can only be a Home Light.
When we say the new Lufkin 1-inch Ultralock stands up, we mean more than durability. More than Luftcoat protection. When we say the Lufkin 1-inch stands up, we mean it stands up. For more than 2 meters, more than 7 feet. The Lufkin 1-inch Ultralock from Cooper the Toolmaker. Win one of 3 Mercury Capris. Strike gold with Lufkin at your local hardware store.
With the Luxaclad system, you can install siding and soffit on your home in a few weekends. And because you can do it yourself, you'll save money, too. Luxaclad's fun. Everyone will want to get in on the act. Easy to install, it has a special backing that adds strength. It snaps right into place with an exclusive joint mold and saws like wood. Easy, economical new beauty for your home that lasts for years from Hunter Douglas. The Luxaclad siding system at building supply stores everywhere.
Can a 1980 Ford LTD, priced about $8,300, ride as quietly as a $93,000 Rolls-Royce? Both were tested under identical conditions, over smooth roads, over rough roads, at 40, 50, and 90 kilometers per hour. LTD rode just as quietly as the Rolls-Royce. And compared to last year's fuel economy rating, the 1980 LTD is 14% better. Ford LTD, quality that quietly speaks for itself.
There's only 1 goal in the second period. There could have been a lot more as the Islanders missed 3 breakaways and the Flyers had their chances too. 2-1 at the end of 2 periods of play. A turning of the tables now. Many teams, coaches, scouts, players have had to analyze all season long the talents of Wayne Gretzky of the Edmonton Oilers, and that'll be the case for many, many years to come in the NHL. We would like to have Wayne talk about some of the center icemen you're watching in this series, his viewpoint of how they play, strengths and weaknesses, and we should say that you know the Philadelphia Flyers considerably better than the Islanders because of a first-round playoff series between Edmonton and Philadelphia. And I gather you saw a lot more of Ken Lindsman than anybody else. Is his speed the biggest thing that you have to be thinking about?
Well, Kenny's very fast. He works hard all the time. He's a smart hockey player, and he's working all the time. And that's the big thing with Ken Lindsman is his speed. And he gave us a lot of trouble, and he's given the rest of the teams in the playoffs a lot of trouble also.
He's supposed to stir things up. You find him that way?
He does a good job of that. Kenny plays a very aggressive game. He's a very gutsy, talented hockey player, and I suppose having Mr. Holmgren on the right side doesn't help out, hurt that much for Ken Lindsman, and he's done a terrific job for Kenny, and I think that he's very important for Kenny Lindsman.
If we could compare anybody on the Islanders to Lindsman, it might be Butch Goring, would you think? He plays in that same helter-skelter way, and you think you've lost him, and there he is again. Did you play against him when he was an Islander, or just as a Los Angeles King?
Well, as far as Butch goes, I didn't play against him when he was with New York. I played against him in LA, and the two centers are similar. They're, like I said, they're both smart. They both skate very well, but I think Butch is not as aggressive as Kenny, and I think that's about the only difference between those two hockey players.
Do you notice a difference in Goring as an Islander when you saw him with Los Angeles?
Well, not really. I think that Butch is playing the same style hockey as he did when he's with LA. with LA, he had Marcel there, and I think he knew his role. It was more or less a defensive style centerman. And here he has Brian Trache, and I think the role for him is similar. And he does his job out there, and he's doing a very good job of that. And the Islanders are playing very well.
Trache and Bobby Clark, really the two main men as far as centers in this series. Does it surprise you at all that they're also the leading face-off men in this series?
Well, not really. They're both excellent centermen, excellent at face-offs. Two styles are a little bit different on face-offs. Clark, he tries to outsmart a guy. He's not as strong. Where Brian's pretty strong, and he can outmuscle guys. And they both, like I said, they both work very hard. They're both good centermen, and they've both won the Art Ross Trophy a couple of times, and they can play offensive or defensive. And those two are probably two of the best centermen in the National Hockey League.
You mentioned Trache's strength, Wayne, and he's a nifty guy. He gets a lot of points, and generally you look at that more than you look at whatever physical strength and how he uses it. But you know, and all centers in the league know that strength's a big part of his game.
Well, it is. Brian has the ability to go around a guy, and he can go through a guy. And Brian's very strong and talented, and he's one of the toughest centermen in the National League to play against. You know, the best defense is a good offense, and he seems to have the puck quite a bit, and it's tough to play against Brian Trache. A
personal question for Wayne Gretzky. You tied Marcel Dion for the scoring championship, 137 points apiece officially. He wins because of more goals. There are a lot of people who say that maybe both names should be on the trophy. There are other people who say Wayne Gretzky will win it by himself many times before his career is over. Is that any consolation to you, or would you like to have a part of that trophy this year?
Well, I guess it'd be nice to have part of that trophy, but the rules were made before I came to the National Hockey League. I guess the Ross family, when they donated the trophy, wanted one winner and one winner only, and that's the rules you have to abide by, and until the rules are changed, that's the way it's got to stand. But maybe someday they will change the rules, and I really hope that someday they do change the rule.
Comments on great centerman with Philadelphia and New York from a great centerman of the Edmonton Oilers, Wayne Gretzky. Thank you for being with us. Howie Meeker coming up next. We'll return with the Stanley Cup playoffs in just a moment.
At Mutual Life, most of us learn about being a parent the same way you do, firsthand. So we understand your hopes for tomorrow, because we share them. And when you go to buy life insurance for yourself, we know who you're really thinking of, because we know what you know.
Life is a mutual affair.
Hey, it's for people like you, people who do what you want at Canadian Tire. Anything you want to do what you want, and you can get what you need. You can do anything you want to do. It's for people like you, people who do Canadian Tire. It's for people like...
Isn't that a beauty? My first fish, 7 pounds or 3.175 kilograms. Hey, Jack, I need a picture.
Oh, yeah, hey, let me take this. It must be so heavy. You've carried it around all day. Let me get you a cold egg.
Right up there, kid. Hang on. Okay. My man. Hey, lovely. Let me have one. Sure, John. It's a great fish, guys.
Jack, take one of Don.
It's a fish. It's a board. Don, it's my fish. Come on, just one thing. Hey, we got it. Hey, goody.
For years, Jeans wanted to share a little fishing and a little Molson Export Ale with the boys.
All right. This will go down in history as the first picture of a monkey holding a fish, right?
Come and get it, boys.
Molson Export Ale.
I didn't even open my beer.
It keeps on tasting great.
The score is 2-1 in favor of the New York Islanders. That is also the way the series stands as we're getting set for the third period of game number 4. And Howie, there's nothing better to watch from your point of view, and I think from the point of view of the viewers as well, than a breakaway. And we, well, you got them all, or you want to pick one?
I've got them all. This is just a mini showdown series, folks. I'll tell you that. Pete Peters against the world. You'll never see goaltending any better.
I got a kick out of my buddy upstairs, Gary Dornhofer, telling Mike Bossy what he should have done. It took Gary 15 years in the league to get 200 goals. Never scored one in a breakaway in his life. So, hey, roll him here. I'll just show you goalkeeping at its very best. Mike Bossy actually makes the right play. At least I think he did, and I was a poorer goal scorer than Gary Dornhofer. But look at right here, and look where Peters is. There's no way in the world if he shoots the puck, even if the puck had eyes, that it could go in. Okay, let her go. The only problem is that Bossy doesn't make a good play. He'll take it from his forehand to his backhand. He loses control of the puck because of the bad ice, but he doesn't hang on to it. I think what he tried to do there is put it between the legs. Actually, if he had hung on to it a little longer, controlled the puck, there's lots of room in the short side to put it upstairs. But let's say Peters forced Bossy to make the D. All right, Wayne Merrick, who like myself couldn't put the puck in the ocean off the wharf. Look where Peters is. Look it, he's shooting from there. No way in the world the puck can go in. He had to keep going, had to force Peters to back up and then make the D. Easy save, didn't even have to make the move. Okay, now we'll show you Peters making a great save. Merrick in behind the net, comes up with the puck, throws it out in front to Tonelli, and keep your eyes on Peters. Makes a great right leg save. Look at this, he's coming back, gets back up and moves the right leg and makes the save. Look at Tonelli standing there shaking his head. What do you have to do to get one by this kid? Well, you don't have to do what Bob Bourne did. Bob Bourne is home free in the Showdown series. And once again, watch Peters. Bourne makes a pretty good play, and in this instance here, Peters makes a great save. Look where Peters is. Now he starts to back up. He's forcing him to shoot, roll it from there, backs up, and just gets the glove, or gets the puck on the stick glove, the blocker, and puts it up over the net. I just think unbelievably good goaltending, and I'll tell you, if Philadelphia don't win this game, Peters has every right to shoot a bunch of them.
The comment was made that Pete Peters makes the tough save look easy, and those would be pretty good examples of that, I think. There could have been some spectacular saves made on those, but the idea is to stop the puck the easiest possible way, right?
That's right. Well, he stands out, challenges the shooters, and I'll tell you, I've seen Mike Bossy score goals every which way. I think he's the greatest goal scorer that's ever been in the National Hockey League, certainly the best to come in recent years, and when Peters can make him deke, that's some goaltending.
2-1, and the goaltending is primarily the reason the score is that low. Tight game as we get set for the third period and go now to Dan Kelly, Gary Dornhofer, and Dick Irvin.
Okay, Dave, Islanders with a 2-1 lead after 2 periods of play. The only goal of the second period scored by the new man in the Flyer lineup tonight, Paddock. Back in the first period, Bossy and Goring had scored. Bossy at 7:23, Goring at 13:06. And then in the second period, Paddock with a blistering shot at 1:35, his first Stanley Cup playoff goal.
But Dan, there's no doubt that what happens here tonight will have a direct bearing on just how long this series might last. It certainly has to go 5 games, and game number 5 will be Thursday night. We'll be on the air live from the Spectrum in Philadelphia at 8 o'clock. And a reminder that if a 6th game is necessary in the series, it will be played here at the Nassau Coliseum Saturday afternoon, starting at 2.
Well, I must correct Howie Meeker. A rebuttal that it was 11 years in the league, and I had 2 breakaways in my career, and I scored on both of them, so that makes me an expert. Thank you.
I know you had a breakaway and scored a big goal against Minnesota, right? In a playoff game.
Well, what can I tell you? You know, it's easy up here. I just felt that Bossy has had 3 breakaways. He's tried to deke every time, and he's missed every time, so you'd think they would try something different.
Gary, he's had more breakaways in a week than you had in 11 seasons.
Oh, that's right. I was slow foot, or what did Howie say the other? Lead foot. That fit me perfectly.
Shots on goal, by the way, in the first period favored the Flyers 13-9. In the second period, 11-8 in favor of Philadelphia. So a margin of 24-17. There's Pete Peters. He's jack of all trades, huh?
Watching Wayne Gretzky along with Dave in the intermission. The first time that Wayne really was head-to-head with National Hockey League opposition was in the charity softball game I was at late last July out in Edmonton. You know, Gary, he was almost shy meeting people from the Canadians and the Rangers and what have you. He doesn't have to be shy anymore, of course, after what he did to the Canadians and the Rangers and so on this past season. They're going to have another game out there along the same lines first weekend in August in Edmonton. They're talking about a crowd of 40,000 people at the beautiful Commonwealth Stadium out there. The Oilers are going to play an NHL All-Star team. That will be something if you get a crowd of that magnitude to see hockey players play softball in the summertime.
And I understand you're going to be the MC for that affair?
Yeah, they want me to pitch, but I said I've retired.
Well, the third period for the Flyers, they did put some pressure on there when they sent the 2 men in. And they did come up with a puck to get several good scoring opportunities. But they were vulnerable on occasions, as shown by those breakaways. There's Chico Resch, the forgotten man in this series. He was talking about the killer instinct of the New York Islanders, something that is probably the weak part of their game, to put a team away. They have the opportunity here tonight. He's on that walkie-talkie right now.
Here we go with the third period. It is 2-1 for the Islanders. Puck is immediately cleared into the Islanders zone, and that's Dennis Potvin. DeBoer. Headmans it to Trottier. Daly cleared it to Barber. Flyers shoot it back in. Potvin cleared it out. Gets it again. Leach almost stole it. Now Lorimer playing it off the boards and down the ice. And Bob Daly back to touch it, and icing called against the New York Islanders.
Here, this is one of those situations I like to speculate that if there is a next goal, as we look at Chico Resch with the walkie-talkie up to Billy McMillan somewhere high in the Coliseum.
Maybe he's talking to Jacques Plante to get some info on Pete Peterson.
But you think that in a situation like this, the team getting the next goal, if there is one, might be the team to win the hockey game.
Well, from the Islander standpoint, that certainly is a big goal. And you know, you just can't play defensively from the Islanders. You know, you have to go after the Flyers. Don't let them get their act together.
We're in the first minute of the third period. Here's a quick shot by Barnes wide of the net, and away comes Bourne for the Islanders. In against Daly. Bourne slides it in front. Barnes was there to clear it away. Now Clark trying to center wide. Here's Bossy. Barnes tied him up, and he's going to get a penalty. Norm Barnes, and a penalty that he almost had to take.
Well, Van Hellemond let the first one go, but he got the second one on a holding call.
From the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York, Stanley Cup 80.
If you ever wanted to look like $1 million, Ultra Blend. Ultra Blend, only by Arrow.
You know, it's really hot in there. But Ultra Blend is mostly cotton. It's cool, and it's really comfortable, you know?
Look like $1 million in Ultra Blend by Arrow.
Hey, that's $1 million over 3 seasons.
Norm Barnes, a rookie with the Flyers at the age of 26 this season. Gary, a critical penalty perhaps in the first minute here in the third period.
Well, you notice just before that, Van Hellemond let one go, which looked like a penalty, but that time Norm Barnes hauled player down, and here we go.
This Islander power play has been devastating. Let's see what the Flyers can do in a penalty killing way, and in the first try they clear it the length of the ice. Pearson leaving it for Dennis Potvin. Clark steals it, centered one, but Pearson gives it to Gorick. Puts Gorick. Goring gets away from Leach. Shot it to the corner, but Dupont tried to get it out. Potvin held it in. And now here's Daly for Clark, but Pearson is back for the Islanders. Pearson being checked. Now it comes to Gillies. To Nystrom. Barber tied him up. Goring trying to center. Clark is there to clear it away. That's Potvin, watched by Barber to Pearson. Now to Bossy. To Dennis Potvin to Trottier. And Barber is there for Philadelphia to clear it the length of the ice. Less than a minute remaining, and Barnes penalty. Here's Bossy. To Dennis Potvin, back to Bossy to Potvin. Bridgman breaks it up. Smith now to Trottier. Brian Trottier. Trying to go around Wilson. Trottier got it into the goal crease, cleared away by Bridgman. Now McLeish couldn't get it out. Potvin held it in. Into Bossy. Back to Dennis Potvin. To Bourne. Bourne shoots. That's stopped by Ben Wilson. Bossy to Potvin. To Pearson. Into Bourne, and Busnick blocked the shot, and here's McLeish. 10 seconds left in the penalty. Busnick on right wing. He's tied up in the play, and Goring cleared it. McLeish intercepts, shoots, and Billy Smith makes the save just as Barnes comes back on after serving the penalty. Rather lackadaisical play by the Auditors in their own end there for a moment.
And the best bit of penalty killing we've seen the Flyers come up with in the game.
Maybe the Islanders are going into a slump now. That's 3 consecutive penalties that they fail to score a goal on. Oh, boy.
17:15 left in regulation time. It is 2-1, New York Islanders. Pair of goals in the first period by Bossy and Goring. Paddock has scored for the Flyers in the second. There's John Tonelli, hard-working Islander winger. Native of Hamilton, Ontario. Formerly played in the WHA with Houston and now a prominent member of the Islanders. Here's Lane. Firing one up the middle, tried to get it to Goring. And McElhargy, number 29, back for the Flyers. To Ben Wilson. Here's Linsman, trying to go around Lane. Backhander, pad save by Smith. Rebound. Oh, and Prop shot it wide. Couple of big chances for Philadelphia. Here's Merrick for the Auditors. To Tonelli. Wilson for the Flyers. Nystrom intercepts it. Nystrom looking for Merrick or Tonelli. Slides it back to the net for Tonelli, but McElhargy comes up with it. Here's Wayne Merrick. Shoots high off the glass with a wrist shot. Morrow held it in. Merrick to the other corner. Back to Lane. Gord Lane. Checked by Gorence, and Tom Gorence breaks out with Prop 2-on-1. Gorence shoots at a stick save by Billy Smith as Lane got back to harass Gorence on the shot. Gorence centered. Smith sprawls to make a save, and Morrow gives it to Nystrom. Nystrom getting away from Prop. Nystrom with DuPont in the corner. Now Busnick for Philadelphia. Got it to Gorence, trying to set up Barber. Lorimer is there to clear it. Here's Butch Goring. To Gillies in front. Shoots, and he shot it wide by several feet. Putt back. To Gillies back of the net. DuPont gets it loose to Busnick. And Busnick passes to Barber. One-on-one against Lorimer. Barber slides it through, but Billy Smith feeds it to Goring. Now at center, Daly. To Leach, who's knocked down. Lorimer for New York. In against Barnes. Barnes gets a piece of him. Lorimer still has the puck. Barnes still after him. And Clark finally digs it loose. To Daly. Daly with Leach on his right. Daly shoots one, and Leach was in ahead of the play on the right wing, offside. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York.
Welcome to our people-pleasing faces.
Mr. Carlin, your briefcase.
Meet our people-pleasing faces.
Holiday Inn hotels are #1 in the world with the best standards.
Everything all right, sir? Everything's just fine.
People-pleasing standards to help make your trip successful.
Wherever you go in this whole big traveling world,
We want to make you comfortable.
Holiday Inn is #1 in people-pleasing.
14:46 left in regulation time. Islanders 2, Philadelphia 1. Crotche with Howitt and Bossy for the Auditors as Barnes fired it in. Almost hit Van Helleman, the referee. Daly at the point. Into Hill. And Paddock had a chance but couldn't control a bouncing puck. Al Hill to Daly. His shot went wide. Comes out on the other wing, and Trottier feeds to Bossy. Only Daly back. Bossy. And Daly came across to get a piece of it. Now centered. Trottier took it away. Brian Trottier to Howitt, whose shot was blocked by Barnes. McLeish for Hill. In against Pearsall. Here's Hill trying to center it, and Pearson did a good job of tying him up. Back comes Howitt. Away from McLeish to Trottier. Trottier shoots. Scores! Brian Trottier!
Not a very effective job by Ricky McLeish in the checking department. He should have had Howitt right at the blue line, and he left him. And once Trottier gets a hold of the puck, that's all she wrote. Good wrist shot, right through the legs. And suddenly, that big goal that you were talking about, Dick, that next one goes in favor of the Islanders.
Gary, the Flyers got caught in a bit of a sloppy line change, which helped compound their difficulty. Boy, did Trottier drill that one home with the wrist shot.
But you know, McLeish had the man right at the blue line. He had Howitt, and he left him, skated away from him. This allowed Howitt to set up Trottier. He made no mistake.
Trottier's 11th goal of the playoffs, his second point of the night, and he now has 26 in the playoffs, just one shy of that record. And Trottier with a big goal makes it 3-1 Islanders. Here's Linsman trying to shoot it in. Lane knocked it down. Back comes Sutter. Here's Wayne Sutter centering to Goring, and Bridgman breaks it up. Here's Bridgman trying to get around Morrow. Bridgman shoots. Smith, a stick save. Now into the corner for Gord Lane. Cleared it to Gillies. To Sutter. And he cleared it in, but right onto Wilson's stick. Bridgman. Now to Sutter. The shot nowhere near the net, and Ben Wilson has it. Wilson to Linsman. Here's Kenny Linsman. Poke check by Merrick, and Nystrom shot it away. Now Moose Dupont. Cleared one to center. Nystrom has it. Fired it back in. Wilson being forechecked by Tinelli. Merrick comes in. Now Clark and Nystrom. Clark trying to dig it loose. Then Wilson lost it to Nystrom. To Dennis Potvin shot. Wilson blocked it. Here's Tinelli. To Merrick. Shoots. Big save by Pete Peters on Merrick. And he held on to it. This is Stanley Cup 80 from the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York.
Capri Fever is here.
Catch it.
Don't let Capri Value pass you by.
Catch it with bucket seats, 4 on the floor, rack and pinion steering, and full instrumentation.
Inside, that's where Capri Fever really strikes.
Capri has the best fuel rating for North American-built 6-cylinder cars in its class.
So you can have fun and save gas, too. Capri Fever. 3 ways to catch it.
At the sign of the cat.
Well, they say the Islander fans, Gary, are leading the league in standing ovations. Here's the reason for the latest one.
Well, a good shot by Trottier, but 2 mistakes by McLeish. One at the blue line, and then he made the big sweep by Trottier. And checking is the big part of this game, and the Flyers didn't execute very well on that play.
3-1 Islanders. Here's Barber to Leach. Leach check. Now Barber with a chance. Shoots one right along the ice, and a stick save by Smith. Bossy cleared it on the boards. Bourne couldn't get away from Barber. Potvin trying to tie Barber up. Here's Trottier and Clark behind the net. Now Lorimer cleared it to Bossy, and Clark hustles back for Philadelphia. To Norm Barnes. He gives it to Daly to Barber. And Leach was knocked in ahead of the play offside by Bob Bourne.
That third New York goal of Trottier, his 11th from Howard at 6:06. I don't know if the next home game here will be October 14th, as one of the signs in the building says this evening, that the Islanders will be playing at the Spectrum in Philadelphia Thursday night of this week, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, our broadcast time live from the Spectrum. If a 6th game is necessary, it will be here on Saturday afternoon. Trottier now just 1 point away from the record that Phil Esposito set in 1970 with Boston, and Frank Mahovlich equaled in 1971 while with Montreal.
That is pretty fast company. Here's Busnick for the Flyers, dumping it in. Langevin for the Islanders, lost it to McLeish. Now the Islanders get it in Merrick. Back of the net, Pearson lets it go. Here's Goranson against the boards with Langevin. Wayne Merrick clearing one into the Philadelphia zone. Moose DuPont for the Flyers to Goranson. Merrick ties him up. In comes Tonelli. Moose DuPont with a hit. DuPont got the worst of it, but broke the play up. And the Flyers, Goranson. In against Langevin. Here's Goranson trying to center it. Pearson came back to intercept. Langevin lost it to McLeish, but is there to cover up and quickly clear it to center. 11 minutes left in regulation time. 3-1, Islanders leading. Langevin to Pearson. To Goring. Nystrom. Tied up by McElhargy, who will get a penalty. McElhargy is going to get a penalty for Philadelphia for holding. And the Islanders, with a 3-1 lead, will also have the man advantage. With the score, New York Islanders 3, Philadelphia 1. This is Stanley Cup 80.
Canadian Tire has the tires you need. Radial tires, snow tires, off-road tires, small tires, truck tires, tractor tires. We made our name selling quality tires at sensible prices, backed by our 5-year road hazard warranty. We can fit just about every kind of car or truck with the right tire at the right price.
We can do it. It's for people like you. Canadian Tire.
Bedlam reigns supreme here at the Coliseum. McElhargy of the Flyers off for holding at 9-16.
Well, the Islanders are playing like a team possessed now. Look at Nystrom, how strong he is along the boards. He just keeps muscling his way forward. McElhargy hauls him down. And Dick, a goal here would just about do it.
Here are the Islanders with Trottier, Bourne, Bossy, Pearson, and Potvin. Potvin shot deflects to the corner. Daly and Barnes on defense for the Flyers. Linsman and Bridgman, the penalty killers. Daly trying to get it to Bridgman. Potvin held it into Bourne. To Trottier, who panned on it. And then the Flyers, Bridgman shot it to center. There's Linsman up doing some port checking, almost stolen. Potvin shoots it around in the boards. Bourne for Trottier. Now Daly dumping it back in for Philadelphia. Minute 23 left in the Flyers penalty. Here's Potvin. To Bossy. Bossy tied up by Daly. Potvin centers one to Pearson. Shoots Peters, a stick save. And Clark cleared it ahead to Leach. Pearson with him to the corner. Centered, and Smith held it long enough that we'll have a face-off in the Islanders
Your
zone.
attention, please. Will Mr. Bob Romer please report to security?
Boy, this is
Bob
quiet
Romer,
in here right now
security.
for a little while. I think the fans have sore throats. Reggie Leach with that lead pass from Bobby Clark couldn't quite cash in. Leach, has he killed penalties all that much in the past, Gary? Because he scored so many shorthanded goals this year. Led the league, I believe.
No, when Freddie Shure was coach of the Flyers, he never killed one penalty. As soon as Pat Quinn came over, he was out there, and he becomes a real threat when he's out there with Clark. As soon as Clark gets the puck, Leach will head for the hole, and Reggie, he has the speed to sometimes outdistance the defenseman, and with that shot he has, that's what makes him so effective, because he can score from the blue line without any trouble.
Well, they're out there now. Exactly 1 minute left in the penalty to McElhargy. Bobby Clark and Trottier on the faceoff. Clark leading all faceoff men in this final series, winning 63% of his faceoffs coming into this game tonight in the final series. Trottier is the Islanders' best. On the faceoff, Trottier gets this draw, and Potvin cleared one to center ice. Busnick over to DuPont, who dumps it in. That's Gord Lane. To Nystrom.
Now it is Dennis Potvin. To Nystrom, lead pass to Gillies. 3-on-2 break, Gillies to Nystrom, shoots, Peters the save. Gillies a poke at it, and Peters stopped that too.
Well, Gillies had the arms up. I think he thought the puck was in the net. DuPont caught on the play, Gary.
What a good rush. Off to the wing. Now watch what Gillies does. Through the middle, heads for the net. In case there's a rebound, and there was a rebound. Gillies thought he had it past Peters, but there's the quickness of Pete Peters to cause any further damage. Good puck movement by the Islanders.
Pete Peters, an 8th-round draft choice in 1977. An outstanding rookie goaltender here in 1980. And at this point, holding the Philadelphia Flyers in the game. 32 seconds left in the penalty to McElhargy. 9:16 left in the third period. Here's a quick chance. Shot by Gillies. Peters makes the save. Lost it for a moment, but was able to pounce on it and smother it for a faceoff.
It looked like he was hurt on that one. He's giving his arm a shake. But right off the faceoff, there's a loose puck, and Gillies, he doesn't waste any time. He lets it go. He's the big guy, and he has a lot of power and strength in his shot. But Peters was at the right angle to make the save.
25 seconds left in the penalty as Daly for the Flyers gets it to Linsman, and he fired it away. Linsman and Bridgman now the penalty killers. Here's Potvin up the middle for Trottier. Trottier to Bossy. Bossy trying to go around Barnes. Now Bourne, unable to center it. Here's Bossy. Back to Morrow. Over to Bourne. Oh, Trottier tipped it just wide. Bossy a backhander wide. Centered again. And the penalized player is back on. McElhargy has it at center. Morrow breaking it up. Bridgman tries to steal it. Here's Linsman. Flyers trail 3-1. They drop it back. And it's cleared back in by Daly into his zone for DuPont. 8:15 left in regulation time. 3-1 Islanders. Here's Propp. Into Linsman. Backhander. Score! Kenny Linsman.
Well, hang on. 8:07 remaining in regulation time. That's what Kenny Linsman was checking as he looked up at the clock. And it's 3-2 Islanders.
Islanders were hollering, I believe, that the play was
offside, right.
Well, a good play right at the blue line there to find the open man. And Linsman makes the shift, and Smith did get a piece of it. But it goes high into the corner. That's a big, big goal for the Flyers. You pull them within one, and lots of time left.
Now, when they settle down for the faceoff, it's the Flyers who are arguing a point of something or other. 11:53, the time of the goal. So that's Linsman's fourth of the playoffs. What all this arguing's about. I think he ordered Bridgman off the ice on a second change.
His fourth of the playoffs for number 14, Kendall Linsman. The assist to number 26, Brian Propp, and number 22, Tom Gorens. That's Linsman's fourth of the playoffs from Propp and Gorens. The time of the goal, 11:53.
There you hear the scoring play, and it cuts the Islander lead to 3-2. Here's Nystrom. Back to Myrick, but tipped away, and here's Gorens for Philadelphia. He's checked. Myrick drops it into his own zone, and Lane has to go back for it. Gorens jams with Lane in the corner, and then it's cleared the length of the ice. DuPont back to touch it, and icing called against the Islanders. Stanley Cup 80 will continue in a moment.
And Gorens assisting. 7:33 left in regulation as the Islanders now lead by just one.
Here's a face-off. Daly with a chance, blocked, and away comes Bourne. Bourne with Barnes chasing him. Bourne centers. Nystrom scores! Nystrom!
Gary, you mentioned in an earlier game that the Islanders watched Bob Daly and felt he was getting trapped up the ice quite a bit. They trap him right here.
Well, anytime you pinch in, you leave yourself vulnerable. But what a play by Bobby Bourne. Easy easy play for Bob Nystrom. I think even Gary Dornhofer
or Howie Meeker
could have scored that one.
Well, that comes at a very critical time. Just less than a minute after the goal by Philadelphia. It made it 3-2.
Now it's 4-2 for the Islanders as the Flyers dump it in. Paddock and Langevin in a heavy collision in the corner, and Nystrom cleared it out. Shot back in by Barnes, and it's called an offside at the New York Islander blue line. Scoring play, Nystrom is 7th of the playoffs from Bourne at 12:35. Daly got caught up the ice. Barnes was the only man back and couldn't handle the two of them.
Well, anytime you force the action like that, you become vulnerable for those breaks against you. This time, the Islanders, they made no mistake, and they capitalized it. They have certainly had an awful lot of good scoring chances tonight. Now, there's where the miscue happened, and the Islanders were away. But it took perfect timing by Bourne to Nystrom. No chance for Peters.
7:11 now left in regulation time. 4-2, Islanders lead. If it winds up this way, they take a 3-1 lead in the series. There's Potvin flipping one to center. DuPont for the Flyers is back. Now Barber to Leach. Reggie Leach checked by Bossy from behind before he could shoot, and it's clear. Now Busnick to DuPont. He fires it in. Potvin. Round in the boards, and Bossy scoops one to center. Busnick has it there. Now Bossy. Cleared it. DuPont has it for Philadelphia. To Busnick. Lorimer skates him out of the play. Potvin back for New York. To Howard. He's checked, but Goring picks it up. Goring, quick wrist shot and a glove save by Peters. Barnes to Bridgman to Linsman. Lane takes him out of the play, and Sutter has it for New York. Now Daly for the Flyers. Cleared one. Here's Sutter. Into Clark Gillies, around Barnes. Barnes! Clark Gillies! And it's 5-2 Islanders.
Well, it all started in the Flyers zone when Sutter cut behind the defense to break up a Flyer rush, and they proceeded right up the ice, and good passing play. Sutter to Gillies on a backhand pass, and look at the speed and the good shot to the far corner, and Gillies, he's been very effective the whole game.
Gary, pretty sharp angle on that one.
Boy, did he snap that one.
Clark Gillies to make it 5-2. Less than 6 minutes to play. There's Lane clearing one. Now Goring going in after it, but Peters beats him to it.
Islanders goal is
Sutter in the corner.
For number 9,
Centering one.
Gillies.
Lane checked by Bridgman. Now poked by Linsman to center. Gillies has scored the goal, cleared it back in, and it's offside at the Flyer blue line. Live from the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York, the Stanley Cup playoffs. A standing ovation here at the Nassau Coliseum. And that man, Clark Gillies, has just scored his 6th goal of the playoffs from Sutter at 14:08 of the third period to make it 5-2. Here are the Flyers, who are in a hole right now. DuPont being tied up by Pearson. Cleared around on the boards, McLeish flipping one in front. DuPont had a chance. Hailed a shot. And that's stopped by Smith. Now Busnick at the point. Over for McLeish, checked by Tonelli to Nystrom. Now Tonelli lost it. It comes to Langevin at the Islander blue line. 4:45 left in the third period. 5-2 New York. Barnes to Goritz. Tom Goritz slides it to the corner.
Now it's Barber. To Barnes, shooting, and a drive went wide. Into the other corner for Nystrom. Barber. Checked by Pearson and Nystrom, and it's held there for a faceoff. To the right of Billy Smith. 4:20 left in the third period.
Gary, you've had some people play awfully hard and awfully well for Philadelphia tonight here, I feel. Gorence and Linzman in particular have worked as they have not worked before in this series. And yet here come the Islanders pulling away late in the third period.
Well, there's the man that has certainly come alive and has been doing a tremendous job. When he wants to play, there isn't anybody better. He'll snap one here right by Peters. He started off the game for the Islanders, got him going with his aggressive forechecking and hitting. And just to insult matters for the Flyers, he ended up getting a goal.
4 minutes and 20 seconds left in the third period as Clark gets ready on a face-off against Trottier. Here's Barber. Now Clark and Lorimer fight for it. Barber to the corner. Trottier tied him up. Now Lorimer does. And it's held there, and the face-off again will be in the Islanders' zone with 4:06 left.
Well, you can see how the Islanders continue to harass the Flyers. A bump here, a bump there. Take the man out, keep thumping them, and eventually it will take its toll, as it is in this game right here.
They're chanting, "We want the cup."
Well, they're getting closer all the time.
They have not had one in New York for 40 years, since the Rangers won it in 1940. Here's Trottier. Now to Bourne, and a save on the short side by Peters on Bob Bourne. The Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York. Remaining in the third period. Islanders lead 5-2. First period goals by Bossy and Goring. Goals in the third period by Trottier, Nystrom, and Gillies. The Flyer goals by John Paddock and by Kenny Linzman. Face off, and Peters has to clear it away on left wing to Prop. Here's Goring. Shooting one back in. Barber for Philadelphia. To Daly. Now to Prop to Linzman. Here's Linzman giving it to Prop. And he partially fanned on his shot as he moved in on right wing. And Smith was slid across to make the easy save. Prop did not get any wood on the shot at all.
Yeah, but the real play was made by Kenny Linzman. There was a good example of his speed and how he's able to get into that zone and set up the open man, which happened to be Prop.
They have put a picture of the Stanley Cup on the clock. Perhaps a little premature. Draws another cheer. This is one happy place right now. Not at that particular spot our cameras are trained on, the Philadelphia Flyers bench. As Gary pointed out earlier, they have given it quite a charge here tonight. And the sweat-stained back of the head in front of the face of Bobby Clark.
Clark isn't a good loser.
Oh, I guess not.
That's why he's a great winner.
Well put, Dick.
Here is Barnes along the boards.
Dan.
And they hold it there.
He has a
it wasn't that good. It wasn't that great a line. You can credit Dick with it.
I was going to say he has a better way with words anyway.
Bob Bourne out on left wing. Trottier at center. Bossy on the right side. They're out against Clark, Leach, and Hill for Philadelphia. McLeish is out as an extra forward playing defense. Flyers trail by 3 as McLeish cleared it in and cleared it up over the glass.
Gary, the timing of those goals was so important. They get Linzman at 11:53 to make it 3-2, and things seem to be taking a bit of a turn. And then 12:35 and 14:08. So, in less than 3 minutes of play, you get the Flyers moving to within 1, and suddenly they're down by 3.
Well, that's the signs of a good team, that when they're scored upon, they can come right back and just turn the tables as they did. Well, they got a break at the blue line there, where the play by Daly resulted in a 2-on-1, and they capitalized.
Now here's Howard, who's out with Trottier and Bossy. Trottier dumps it in. Peters cleared it away. Hill lost it to Bossy. He couldn't get a shot.
And here's Barnes for Philadelphia. To Leach. Got it into the zone. Barnes racing in after it. Lorimer tied him up. Now Bossy. Here's Clark trying to flip it in front. Potvin was there for New York. To Bossy. Bossy took a hit from Kelly. Stays on top of the puck. Puck comes loose and Trache backs up behind the net. Fired it. McLeish holding it in. His shot deflected wide. Smith cleared it. Here's McLeish again. A drive, and it deflects wide. Now Howitt for the Islanders, being chased by Barnes. Pulled down by Barnes, and he'll get a penalty. Norm Barnes had to pull the Islander player down, and he'll get a penalty here with 2:18 to play.
Just before that, along the boards in the New York zone, Clark and Kelly were hammering Mike Bossy. Bossy gave it back to Kelly, and then as he skated away, you saw at the bottom of your screen, he was tripped. Meanwhile, up at the other end of the ice, the penalty called against Norm Barnes. So the Flyers will play 2 minutes of the final 2:18, shorthanded.
You know, I must say that Dennis Potvin has certainly played a solid game tonight. You know, we had said that he was having trouble, or I had said he's been having trouble in his own zone, and Al Arbor was a little concerned about that. Tonight he was exceptional behind his own blue line, really setting up plays to get his wingers going.
That's an offensive star in Game 1, an offensive star in Game 3, and tonight he sticks to defense and plays a solid game.
I thought he played a real good hockey game, especially making those plays to the wingers as they're going out of the zone and controlling the puck.
Islanders with a 5-2 lead, and on the power play. Canelli sliding it in front. Peters sets it up for Busnick. And the player defenseman Mike Busnick clears it the length of the ice. Here's Smith to Lane. Back of the net now. Linsman tried to center one. Myrick couldn't get it out. Here's DuPont's shot that's handled by Smith. Number 6 is Ken Morrow. To Tonelli. 1:40 left in the third period. Tonelli trying to get around DuPont, tried to set up Nystrom, but Busnick for Philadelphia. Checked by Nystrom. Tonelli had it. He lost it, then he was knocked down. And Peters leaves it for DuPont. 5-2, Islanders lead. And unless something miraculous happens, they'll take a 3-1 lead in the series. Here's Lorimer. Fired it around on the boards. Sutter checked Leach. The Potvin. McElhargy blocked that shot. Now Clark Gillis got it to the corner. Daly with less than a minute to play. Potvin holding it in. To Gillis. To Sutter. And Clark intercepts that. And with 50 seconds left, Clark crosses the line, trying to set up McElhargy. He's checked against the boards. Gillis. Back of the net to Potvin. Barnes has 18 seconds left in his penalty. 34 seconds left in the game, and here's Sutter on a break at the goal post. Sutter all alone on Peters and hit the post. And the Flyers clear it away. No icing, they're still shorthanded, are Philadelphia. Here's Barnes back on now. Now Potvin to Gorey. 13 seconds left. Jumping it in. McElhargy. As the seconds count away to Bridgman. His shot, and Smith a stick save. The game is over. The Islanders, with a 5-2 victory, have a 3-1 lead in the series, and will go to Philadelphia Thursday night with a chance to wrap up their first Stanley Cup in their history.
Well, there's the congratulations to Billy Smith. Another strong performance, especially when the game was very close at 3-2. He made those good saves that you have to make till your team gets going again. There's the excitement.
Al Arbor knows he's still got a little battle
That's
ahead,
right.
doesn't he?
That one more sign. Gary, can they do it at the Spectrum?
You never want to leave it. Win it when you can. If it means winning it on the road, you win it on the road.
Islanders win it 5-2, lead the series 3 games to 1. In a moment, our 3-star selection.
In between, these Islander fans are thinking and smelling and tasting Stanley Cup, and the Islander players will be doing the same. If we call this the best game of the series, as I think we must do, Howie will also say that it is the toughest three-star selection we've seen so far in the series, and I will let you give the choices and explain them.
Well, we had to pick Clark Gillies #1 and kind of wonder about that a little bit, the way Pete Peters played. I just thought over 40 minutes is as good a goaltending as I've ever seen, but the best guy in the ice tonight had to be Clark Gillies. He got a goal, 2 assists, controlled the corners, and I would think on offense just played a heck of a game.
The proceeding has been a special presentation of ICENET, the Islanders Championship Entertainment Network.